Hello, 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 hello. YouTube. Oh my gosh. Discords. Oh my gosh. Hello. How are we all doing? Oh my gosh, I'm running so late. I am so sorry if I've gone so late. A little bit disorganized today. But welcome to the Trans Network Trans Voice Workshop. We're going to be going over feminization, masculization, and androgenization today. So whatever you need, we got it. And we'll just be going through the entire process, start to finish, so that no matter what ability level you're at, you'll have information of where to go next. Boo, 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 boo. Oh my gosh, chats. Okie dokie, let's get started. So firstly, is that, yeah, that is the next slide. I was totally muddled up there. So workshop rules and etiquette. This is mainly addressing the people in the Discords. It's just a matter of being respectful of your learning environment, being respectful of your fellow attendees, and staying on topic. What I mainly mean by these three rules is if we can avoid like random shout outs at inappropriate times, and if we can keep, when we do have audience participation, keep things on topic. So I don't need to hear about your latest Lego set. I just want to hear about you doing the drill. Yeah, everybody's here to learn, so we don't want to get derailed off onto some tangent, because that's going to impact other people's learning experiences. Also, we do have an open forum section at the end, so if you have any questions regarding your own voice, or you want me to just like listen to your voice and give my feedback, you want help with something particular, then save that for that section, because we can spend as long as we want giving direct attention to your voice during that section. And that goes just until we get through everybody, or I pass out, whichever comes first. These workshops don't have like a specific end time. It's just a matter of we finish when we finish. So yeah. Okie dokie. Who am I? Why are you here? What is happening? Why am I the person teaching you today? So my name's Sarah. I've been working on my own voice since 2023 October, that sort of time. It might have been November, it was around there. Started off with just, like most people, trans voice lessons on YouTube. Then from there, found the world of Discords, started attending a couple of workshops. I also had my own SLP that was coaching me. And from all of that, as well as just my own general research, I eventually was able to feminize my voice. It took me about a year. I would say it took me about 8 months to start like producing my voice pretty easily. And then it took me another few months. We got to there, and then there was like a pause until I was able to go like full time, presenting as me. And then it took about 2 months to like establish it as part of my daily voice and like integrate it into my life. So yeah. I currently market myself as an aspiring vocal coach because I am still learning. I'm currently doing a teacher training course over in Synguistics, which is, we're almost finished with it. It's a 6-week course, and for week 5 lesson is tomorrow. So then it's just one more week, and then I'm good. We can remove the aspiring bit from that. We'll start doing things for realties. But yeah, so that is who I am. Who am I not? This is really important. I'm not a medical professional. I don't have any medical qualifications, and I cannot diagnose you or help you with any medical issues. The closest we ever come to that is if you're doing like a audience participation thing, and I hear something in your voice where I'm like, this sounds like something that I'm a little bit worried about, then I might just recommend you go speak to a doctor. This doesn't mean that you have anything. It doesn't mean that you don't have it. It just means go speak to your doctor, because they'll know better than I will. And that's the full extent of that. Does anybody have any questions about that? Because that bit's quite important. I'm such a teacher. I will take that as a compliment. No questions? Okie dokie. Let's keep going then. So, first section, we're going to talk about some voice basics, a little bit about vocal hygiene, a little about a little bit about how the voice works, and a little bit about how testosterone impacts that, and how yeah, what we're needing as trans people. So, first of all, maintaining vocal health. Things to keep in mind are staying hydrated is really, really important. Your vocal folds do not get directly hydrated just from you drinking. You have to drink water. It goes through the other hole where food goes through your digestive system into your bloodstream, and only from there, once that blood circulates back up to your vocal folds, then they get hydrated. So it's a long system. It takes a while for them to get hydrated. So that's why I told all of you, drink a pint of water an hour ahead of time, so I can make sure that all of you are nice and hydrated in time for this. So do drink ahead of time. It's also just a good idea to be drinking through the day. If you're drinking like 2 to 2.5 litres a day, that's pretty good. For the girlies on spironolactone, you might need a bit more than that, because spironolactone is a diuretic. It's going to have you peeing a lot, so you need to top that back up. You probably find that you will drink a ton. So yeah. What else? Keeping relaxed is really important for voice work. Any like muscle tightness is going to distort the sound, and it's going to lead to sounds that we're not after. No sound that you produce as a result of gender affirming voice should be like difficult, like physically difficult. Nothing is going to like require a lot of physical effort. At the end of the day, I'm just teaching you to talk in a different way. Talking isn't that difficult, neither should gender affirming voice be. We're just changing the configuration of things, and then we continue talking as normal. Warm-ups. Warm-ups are really important. I'll be going over those in a future slide. Warm-ups, the idea is we do have some very small muscles that are in charge of manipulating the different parts of our vocal tract, like our vocal folds or our larynx, stuff like that. But these are very small, very delicate muscles, and a little warm-up for them is a very good idea. It's just like when you're doing anything that's physically intensive, you're doing a little warm-up. This isn't physically intensive, but because they're so delicate, a warm-up is still going to be really good. Also, that's going to help with promoting hydration. Again, bringing moisture back to your vocal folds. That's going to help you with mucus maintenance. It's going to help you with keeping things nice and loose and limber, avoiding that tightness, keeping things relaxed. All the important stuff, warm-ups are going to help you with that. And hydration is going to help you with that. And lastly, make sure you're having fun with this. I don't want people to be like super laser focused and stressing out about a particular thing. You're more likely to go wrong doing that, and you're less likely to be exploring. I know a lot of people, dysphoria can be an issue, and it can make it harder for us to explore our voices. So try to think of this not as male voices or female voices or anything like that. Just think of weird sounds we make. And the approach I'll be taking as we go through this is a lot of weird sounds we make, and then when we put those sounds together, we get the voice that we're wanting. But individually, it's just weird sounds of your voice. That's it. So really try and have fun with it. Try to make the wackiest sounds you can and have it explore. Because your voice is like an amazing instrument. You can do crazy things with it. So yeah, enjoy it. Things to avoid. These first ones are really not a big deal. The last few are more of a big deal. So, spicy foods. Capsaicin is a molecule that allows you to taste spice, and capsaicin is a mild irritant for the vocal folds. For the vocal tract. Not a big deal, like really not a big deal, but if you've ever had something spicy, it's made you like cough or splutter a little bit, that's that irritation happening, and we can have a little bit of swelling happening there, which can cause you some issues. Super not a big deal. I really don't care that much. Just don't have like a bunch of chilies right before doing your voice work. What you do for the rest of your day is up to you. Caffeine will dehydrate you. It's a diuretic. So again, don't have like a double espresso right before doing voice work. What you do the rest of the day is up to you. If you are a heavy caffeine consumer, consider cutting it down a little bit, and consider increasing your fluid intake. Sugar dehydrates you. We've been over this. If you consume a lot of sugar, then make sure you are rehydrating a lot. And if you have a ton of it, consider moderating a little bit. Don't have a ton of sugar right before your voice work. Energy drinks right now, bad idea. Smoking and vaping, Obviously, this is more serious. You all know that smoking is bad for your health, obviously. It's going to be very damaging to your vocal tract. Vaping is less bad, but still bad. I'm not saying that you have to quit today, but if you can keep things in moderation, that's going to help. And definitely don't be smoking anything right before doing any voice work. That's going to be like quite important. And that applies to both tobacco or anything other that you might be smoking. This is all very hot air and smoke going into your vocal tract. It ain't good. Dairy is a weird one. Dairy will just promote mucus production. I did say earlier that regulated mucus production is a good thing. However, dairy will just make you overload. Whether you need more mucus or not, dairy will make you you'll be producing more mucus. That could have you coughing more, could have you clearing your throat more. It could be just a bit annoying. Again, super this is probably the least big of a deal on the list. But it can affect you a little bit. So again, tub of ice cream right now, not such a great idea. But what you do the rest of your day really doesn't matter in the slightest. The juicy cake you're having, probably not. Unless it's if it's got a lot of sugar. What's a juicy cake? I feel like cakes don't have... That would just fall apart. What are you talking about? If it's got a lot of sugar, it's got a lot of cream in it, maybe not right now. Have it later. Have that later. Straining of the voice, pain, discomfort, and tension. These last few are a bit more important. If you're having strain of your voice, all of these things are going to lead you in the wrong direction. Nothing you do should be straining your voice. It shouldn't be super effortful. It definitely shouldn't cause any pain. If you're feeling pain specifically, that is a bit more serious. When I say it's more serious, it's not like the end of the world, but if you do hurt yourself and get a bit of a sore throat, you're going to need to take a break for a few days, which nobody wants to do. If you do need to take a break for a few days, just take the break. Don't try to push through it. You're only going to make it worse. So if you hurt yourself, just take a day out or two and you'll be fine. If you were to just push through the pain continuously, then you can have a little bit of scar tissue building up. You can have some vocal nodes being formed and they have to be removed surgically. So do not just push through pain. Listen to your body. It's telling you when something's wrong. And yeah, you should be totally fine. Tension, if you have weird muscles tensing up and stuff that aren't relevant to what we're doing, nothing should really feel tense. I feel pretty relaxed, pretty loosey-goosey right now. So if you find yourself feeling like something's tensing up, you're probably activating a muscle that you're not meant to be activating, and that's just not going to be helpful to you. So yeah, avoid those things. They're never going to lead to the sound you want anyway, and in some cases, in the most extreme cases, they can cause some issues. Yeah. Okie dokie. Any questions from the chats about maintaining vocal health? Where's my water? Down here. Questions. I do super heavily encourage questions around here as well. I don't want anybody feeling like they've been left behind. So very much ask your questions. Anything you'd consume, if it's in a moderation, you're good. Yeah, pretty much. Just keep things in moderation. And if it's on this list, maybe avoid it right before doing heavy voice work. Does squash count as water? Squash counts as water with added sugar. So depends on how much squash you're using. Obviously, it's always best to just have water, but squash is probably fine depending on how much sugar you're consuming. Is it fine if you've done a bunch of voice work recently for practice on your vocal cords? Yeah, it's probably fine. It depends on how recent you're talking. Maybe you need a little break, but for what we're doing, you should be totally fine. About how long should each voice work session last? Depends on what you're doing. I categorize voice work sessions in two categories. You have practice and you have learning / exploration. If you're trying to learn to do something new, That's going to be a longer sit down, and that's just going to be as long as it takes for you to figure out how to do a particular thing. If you're just practicing, that could be as short as 30 seconds. For practicing, I think I would say do like, you want to have 4 or 5 practices a day. So like whatever's short enough that you will do 4 or 5 practices a day. If you practice for like 30 seconds to a minute, that counts. I much prefer often practice than how long it is for. You just need to be recentering often. So yeah, regular practices for as little as 30 seconds. Okie dokie. All right, let's keep going then. So, how is your voice working right now? How am I talking? What's happening? So, this is a very basic, simplified model called the power source filter model. It's oversimplified, but for our purposes, it's totally fine. So, we start off in the lungs. Our lungs have a bunch of air in them. We then exhale some of that air. It comes up through the trachea into our larynx. From there, it intersects with our vocal folds, which vibrate and chop up that air, okay? As they chop that air up, the air vibrates, giving it a pitch and giving it some buzziness. As that vibrates around the chambers of our vocal tract, so through our larynx, through our pharynx, through our mouth, that all distorts and changes the sound of the sound being produced. You can kind of see that in this model here, in this little GIF. You've got the air coming up, it intersects with the vocal folds, they're like opening and closing really, really quick. And then that's bouncing around all the cavities of the vocal tract. And then eventually comes out of your voice as sound. So, how does testosterone impact this? First of all, those vocal folds we've got, they start to thicken up a bit, okay? Those thickening mean that when the vocal folds close, they have more closure coming into play, okay? We could say like more vocal fold mass is happening, all right? That's going to distort the sound. It's going to make it a bit busy, a bit buzzier, a bit thicker. It sounds kind of like heavier. Yeah, we also have some vocal fold lengthening. That's going to allow us to access lower pitches. And we have the larynx lengthening. So that's like the Adam's apple starts to drop. That's going to cause the voice to, or as it bounces around the larynx, the specific sounds being applied as it resonates through the larynx then become a bit darker, okay? So like that part of your voice becomes a bit darker. All right, and I'll talk about what all that means as we go through it. Okay, so what can we do about all of this? First of all, warm-ups, SOVTEs. These won't affect your voice directly. However, they will help you establish some good habits and they'll help you maintain your vocal hygiene. And very good warm-up. So, SOVTEs, that stands for semi-occluded vocal tract exercise. I know that's a mouthful. It's really simple though. Semi-occluded just means partially closed. Vocal tract means your vocal tract. So a partial closure in your vocal tract. And generally we're talking somewhere in the front of your vocal tract, somewhere around the mouth, okay? Now, the reason we want that is because as that air, we talked about the lungs pushing air through the vocal folds, okay? That's quite a lot of air pressure on your vocal folds, okay? We call that subglottal pressure. I know it's a big word, don't worry about it, okay? Point is, you've got a lot of air pressure coming up, okay? Pushing through your vocal folds, all right? We want to counteract that pressure by having a partial blockage at the front. So by having that blockage, air is now being pushed back again to counter that force. We call that supraglottal pressure. Again, big word, don't worry about it. All it means is we've got air pushing back again. So now we have that subglottal and that supraglottal pushing against each other, cancelling out a little bit. So now we have the vocal folds under less pressure, which means they're a bit more comfy, a bit more able to stretch out without any risk of anything. Does that make sense conceptually to all of you? And I'll talk about how we do that afterwards. A few sessions ago, I mentioned there could be some cases of not speaking a lot causing some issues when doing voice training. Yeah. So how much time should the average person spend speaking daily to keep your voice healthy? If you talk for like less than an hour a day, then you might run into issues of your the articulators for your vocal folds. They might start to like the muscles. They might start to like weaken. And as those muscles weaken and deteriorate a little bit, it's just like any muscle. If you don't use it, it starts to recede and it starts to get weaker. So we can build that back up using these softies, because again, we're giving the vocal folds a nice little stretch out. So if you are someone, it's called a vocal underdoer. If you like speak for like less than an hour a day and you struggle to maintain speech, then softies can be good for you as well. But they're good for everybody. But they're like especially good for those vocal underdoers. Okay, so how do we do it? So we've got to produce a partial blockage at the front of our vocal tract. There's a variety of different ways we can do that, but some are better than others because some will produce more pressure to push back against the subglottal pressure. Okay, so our best ones are going to be lip trills are pretty good, tongue trills are pretty good. Excuse me. Blowing a raspberry is pretty good. And the absolute best one is bubble phonations. So start off with the others and then I'll go for bubble phonations last. So lip trills are very simple, just it's also called a bilabial trill, but that's just a fancy way of saying lips. We've got tongue trills. That's the French R curl. Blowing raspberries. What are some other good ones? I used to talk about ends, but they just don't produce enough pressure. Humming is not a good one. So humming isn't a very good one because it just doesn't produce enough pressure to push back. I would say stick with your lip trills, your tongue trills, your bubble phonations, or your raspberries. Those are like the best ones. And a straw phonation is, I just unscrewed my cap here. Bubble phonation is you get a bottle of water, you get a straw, you dip it in about an inch, and then just blow balls. I'm going to make so much mess. I'm going to do it briefly, but I'm going to make a mess, so this isn't going to be the one I do, okay? But this is just to give you a guide. Okay? I'll make a ton of mess if I do these. The issue with bubble phonations, while they are the best softie, they're just very inconvenient. They make a lot of mess because the water splashes everywhere. You need a straw and a bottle of water on you. So they're just inconvenient. So I recommend lip trills, tongue trills, all of that sort of thing, because at least you can integrate that into your day and it's not going to be like an issue. You will actually stick to your training if you're doing the others. But if you can, use the bubble phonations as well. And if you have any issues with any of the other softies, use the bubble phonations for a little bit while you work that out. Okie dokie. So once we start doing our trill, the idea is then to just flex around the pitches. We'll start small and work our way further and further. So just a small pitch movement, getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we go until you reach the ends of your pitch. And then I like to add a little siren at the end, and I go to give it like a nice last little stretch. Okay, and that's at both ends. For the people that have had to go, don't worry about it. You can rewatch on the VOD if you'd like to, or just come back next week. So I'm going to be doing some lip trills, but you can do whatever you want, and just follow along with me. So. Make sure you're going down as well. Now, if I'm getting to the ends of my range, I'm going to go right up to as high as I can and as low as I can. And I'm going to do pitch sirens for both of those. Okay, that sounds like this. Okay, and that's our softies. So you're now nice and warmed up for getting on with the rest of our voice work. Any questions? Does everybody understand the softies? Did anybody have any issues? How did it go? If you have questions, make sure you're asking them. Because if you've got a question, somebody else probably has the same question and wants to know. I've tried watch some videos, but you have problem with where to start. Start as I just did. So just start there and keep going and moving outwards. If you can't maintain your lip trill, you've probably got a pressure issue. You're pushing too much up with your lungs. So try to play with the pressure and see where that gets you. You might also find it's a little easier to build up your supraglottal pressure if you push in your chin, push in your cheeks a little bit, because it's got a smaller space, and just do your lip trills like that. So some people find that a bit easier. If you're really struggling, do a few bubble phonations. And hopefully that'll help you figure out how much pressure you should be using, because the water will help you stabilize. Cheek thing did the trick. Perfect. Any other questions? Also, I will be yawning a ton because I'm kind of tired today, kind of sleepy. So bear with me with that. And as we get towards the end, you'll hear a ton of fry coming into my voice. That's just me being sleepy. So I'm EP. Oh, in terms of your practice routine, by the way, it's exactly what I was saying earlier. For this one, I want you to, in fact, we'll do the whole thing. If you are brand new to voice work, I would say start here. This is like the place to start if you're brand new to voice work. And that's with your masculizing, feminizing, androgenizing, whatever, start here. It'll help you build some really good habits in terms of like your pressures. It'll also help you to maintain vocal health really nicely. It'll help you relax. And it'll help you build a practice routine. Softies are just good. So yeah, definitely start with those and build them into your routine. I would recommend doing these just do what I just did, like 4 or 5 times a day, and start building that into your routine. You can speed run it a little bit if you want. Don't make it too short so you're not doing much, but 30 seconds, a minute, minute and a half, that's a good amount of time. Yeah, that's super what I would recommend. Also, if you're struggling with morning voice, Softies will help rid you of morning voice. Because they are providing the hydration your vocal tract needs. It will help you to and increasing blood flow. It will help you to clear out mucus. When you have morning voice, it's just because normally we produce mucus and then we swallow it down. I know it's gross, but it's how you work. But when you're sleeping, you're not swallowing anymore. And also dust is coming in and building up. So we have a bunch of dusty, gross mucus that's built up overnight. Having your doing some of the softies, increasing your blood flow, it'll get your cilia moving, and it'll get your it'll increase the hydration. So eventually it'll all clear out. If you do softies for like a few minutes, your morning voice will be gone. So yeah, keep that in mind if you need it. Boo. Okie dokie. So let's move into our first trans voice thing. So perceptual weight or glottal quotient. I mentioned earlier, we have our vocal testosterone creates some vocal fold thickening. Okay, literally the vocal folds, they're what open and close to produce the sound of your voice. As they open and close, you're having pitch being applied, which is like the speed that they're open and closing. I need to go higher up now. The speed that they're doing it is the pitch, and the amount of closure produced is going to be the quotient. Okay, it's like a maths term. Quotient basically just means percentage, and so glottal quotient is just percentage of time you spend closed or open. Okay, a more closed quotient is where we're closed more of it, and it's not like a full closure, but whatever. Closed quotient is going to be like this, like closed, open, closed, open, closed, open, closed. A open quotient is going to be open, closed, open, closed, open, closed, open. And in terms of the sound, it's going to make the sound lighter for an open quotient or heavier for a closed quotient. And as I said earlier, thicker vocal folds is going to be more closure, is going to be a closed quotient. Does that make sense in terms of like what this is? And then I'll give you some stuff so you can explore it afterwards. You don't even need to fully understand that bit, but I like to have everybody like super informed so that if you go to a vocal coach, you can sort of make sure they know what they're on about. Unfortunately, the state of gender affirming voice care is in hell right now. The standards are just horrendous. You'll have all sorts of SLPs that have no idea. You've got all sorts of vocal coaches that have no idea. So I try to arm you guys with as much information as possible, more than you necessarily need just to do stuff, to make sure that you are armed against like bad vocal coaches, essentially. Breathiness is your most hated issue because it feels like it's, for one, making you sound male. Breathiness is maybe going to darken things a little bit, and it's also just not what you're needing. You're probably conflating breathiness with quotient or vocal weight, as we'll go over here. So at the end of this bit, I will talk about that a little bit, because you can see it is one of the common problems. I'll look over there somewhere. Okay, so how do we explore this? In fact, let's go over what this sounds like first. So right now, you're hearing an open quotient. My voice is very gentle, it's very light. There's not really any buzzing happening through the voice. But if I now go over to here, now you can hear there's a lot more buzzing going on. You can hear there's like, it's buzzier, it's rougher, it's a lot thicker. Any of these sorts of words are going to be fine to describe it. This is a more closed quotient, okay? So you listening for this versus this, where I no longer have that buzziness coming through. I no longer have that thickness to my voice. Does everybody hear the difference between those two sounds? Okay, me talking right now versus me talking right now. Does everybody hear the difference between those two? You hear it, Evelyn? Good stuff. Other people, I wanna see some people typing. I don't want anybody getting left behind. Okay, so how do we explore this? Okay, there's a few different exercises. One that I like that's very universal is the pitch sigh. I might rename that the pitch slide, I'm not sure yet. We're going to start off in a really, really heavy space with a really closed quotient. We're going to be a closed quotient plus a lower pitch. Then we're going to slide up in pitch, and as we do, we're going to go for a more open quotient. The reason this works is because it's easier for us to go to higher pitches in an open quotient. You can do it in a closed quotient, but it's going to be a bit trickier. It's probably not going to be very intuitive. You'll probably very easily go up into an open quotient. You can go as high as you want to. You could even go into like that falsetto M2 kind of thing. So we call that head voice. It's a bad word, but whatever. Slide yourself right up there. If you do go into M2, falsetto, whatever, just make sure you're back down into M1, normal talking, by the end of your slide. Okay? That sounds something like this. And now you'll continue with that open quotient. So you're going to slide up, shed all of that closed quotient, shed all of that vocal weight, and then bring it back down again, keeping that light weight, keeping that open quotient. Okay? Does that make sense to people? And do people understand the exercise? Yes, no, hello, people? Yes, I see one yeah. If you're not typing right now, you should be typing something. Does it make sense? Any questions? Anybody not understand? Yeah, good. Okay, there we go. That's what I want to see. Makes sense? Good, good. Okay, audience participation. We need that. That's got to be on there. Okay, so here's to make sure it made sense to everybody. All right, everybody that feels comfortable unmuting, we're all good together. Going to do a little pitch slide. Okay, so I'll count down 3, 2, 1, and then you'll be starting low pitch, nice and thick, nice and heavy. Slide it up, getting lighter as we go, getting to a more open quotient, and then keep that open quotient as we go down again, okay, to our bass pitch. All right, 3, 2, 1. Brilliant. Well done, everybody. That sounded great. I love that. We're going to do that all the time. I love that. Okay, well done, everybody. That sounded really good. This is one of my favourite ones for open quotient because it's very universal. Everybody can do it. A few of ones that people can use that are quite popular is you can pretend you have like a little baby or like a kitten or something that you're petting, and you're just going to coo with the baby. Okay? Cute kitten. Very, very cute. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, yeah, so, really cute kitten. Okay, and then you imagine that baby or whatever has just, the baby's just thrown up on you. Grace, baby, or the kitten just bit you. Kitten, ow, stop it, Okay, any of those sorts of things, all right? And you're comparing those two sounds of versus all right? That's going to be your closed quotient and your open quotient. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense? All right? Now, one of my issues with that one is people often get louder because what we're talking about will often have you going louder. Volume isn't like the same as quotient. You've heard me go louder there, but the loudness isn't what's being targeted. We're targeting that buzziness, that roughness to the voice, okay? A lot of people conflate the two. Partly I think that exercise is a little bit to blame, but also partly because there is like a natural conflation between the two. Closed quotient is something that you're just going to hear more like viscerally. It's something that humans respond to really quickly. I believe it's partly due to back in like caveman days, when we'd like to see a predator or something where we need to alert everybody, we would add on some closed quotient, and that got everybody's attention. So I think it's partly that. I think it's partly also in your normal life. Normally we're like shouting if we're increasing our closed quotient. If we're going for a heavier vocal weight, it's normally also paired with shouting because it's part of that alert thing, you know, we're shouting or something's happening and we're alerting everybody. So I think that creates a bit of conflation, but they're not the same thing. There is a slight perception of you hearing quotient, like it's more in your face, but it's not actually louder. It just kind of sounds like it is sometimes. If you think you are conflating the two, try to go into a closed quotient and then go quieter. Make sure you're at least at normal speaking volume. For either open quotient or closed quotient, you should be able to do this at just normal speaking volume. Cool. Another one you can try is the ASMR voice versus the sports announcer voice. So like ASMR, they're normally talking really, really gently, really softly. They don't want any like harsh sounds coming out that's going to like ruin the ASMR experience for the listener. Versus at the other end, we can think like sports announcer. Oh my gosh, sports! Da 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 da. You know, the batter has batter out or strike or whatever. I don't know anything about sports, but go for sports announcer things, and that can get you a more closed quotient often. So you can think about all of those. It might also sound a bit more like this, so it might sound more like this for open quotient, and a bit more like this for closed quotient. This is part of the next modification we'll talk about. But if you're still sounding somewhere closer to here, right now I have a closed quotient. Right now I have more of an open quotient. Okay, so make sure you're not conflating, or just make sure that like this is what you're targeting. If all we've changed so far is quotient, it sounds more like this and less like this. You can hear that buzziness. That's the difference between right now and right now, where I don't have that buzziness anymore. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? It is really warm in this room. I might have to message my boyfriend to turn heating off. I'm seeing nothing in the chats. I asked if it made sense. Ugh, you're useless. Trends Network, you guys are doing great. Is it okay to talk in here? Right now we're staying in the chats and staying muted, but there will be parts where you can participate. And then if you have like a specific thing where you want to work on your voice, stick around to the end and I do one-on-ones with people. And thank you for asking. It doth maketh sense. Good. Any questions about quotient? Otherwise we'll be moving on. Oh, the other thing you can try if you're really struggling with quotient, I would prefer you to be doing any of the other drills, but if you're just not managing it, then you can start an initial expiration using the yawn voice. If you start off with a really big yawn, I really kind of try and talk with that yawn voice. This is going to have you with an open quotient, okay? Because literally everything's opening up for that passage of air for the yawn. Now, this does have you stuck in this kind of a voice, which is why I'm not really going for it. But this can just have you experimenting with open quotient, so you can then have it as part of your normal voice. And then from there, you can start getting used to it, as opposed to it being like this. Okay, so if you're really struggling, play with the yawn voice. Now, a common problem that people have, so you mentioned it earlier, is breathiness. Breathiness sounds like this. So if I'm exhaling like a bunch of air as I'm talking, this is breathiness. Obviously, I'm doing quite a lot of it right now, so you can hear it. But even me talking right now is breathiness. Okay? You can almost like hear at the end of my words, you can hear the air like coming out still. I'm also running out of air a lot quicker as I do this. Like I'm having to breathe in a lot, you can hear, because I'm running out of air very quickly. So this is all signs of breathiness. But the main thing is just listen out for that breathy sound coming through. That sort of turbulence as I'm talking is for breathiness. As opposed to right now, I don't have any of that turbulence anymore. Everything's much clearer, much like purer. So that's going to be something to listen out for. A lot of people conflate quotient and breathiness, or weight and breathiness. So just watch out for that. Make sure you're not doing breathiness. If you're struggling to control your breathiness, like you know it's there, but you just can't get rid of it, do more of it and then come back again. Whenever you have like something weird happening, you just can't quite pinpoint it, do more of the thing so you can start experimenting with just playing with it and then use that to bring yourself back again. Okay? Yeah, you can sit here and listen. You can ask questions in a chat. That's totally fine. Oh, and if everybody is confused about who I'm answering questions of, I'm in 3 different Discords simultaneously right now, and there's the YouTube chat. So that's why, like, I might be answering a question and you don't see that question, because I'm answering all the different questions. But I do watch every single chat, so don't think I'm not seeing you. I will see you. If I do miss a question though, feel free to @ me or just like do a reply to your question again. You're welcome to repeat yourself and like harass me a bit because I have a lot on my screen right now. So the extra help is useful. Okie dokie. So if we are all good for quotient, let's keep going. Quotient is going to be one of the really big ones. If you are masculizing, I would say after you've done your softies, move on to... Sorry, if you're feminizing, after you've done your softies, move on to quotient. If you're masculizing, go with... Excuse me. Go with this section. Hiccups, man. Okay, am I good? I'm good. Okay. Yeah, if you're masculizing, start here and then go to quotient. If you're feminizing, start at quotient and then go over here. Okay? That's it. That doesn't matter that much. Just most people seem to have more success with that. But also it doesn't really matter that much. Okay, so size / resonance. This is also called larynx height. Okay? So earlier I told you that as the vocal folds vibrate and produce the sound, that sound then gets filtered by it bouncing around your vocal tract. Okay? There's a couple of different chambers that it can bounce around, but as it's bouncing around, it's resonating through, which is changing the sound. Okay? Now, a larger chamber is going to produce a darker sound. So as your larynx gets larger, that's going to darken the sound. As it gets smaller, it's going to make a brighter sound. We can super easily hear this. If I grab we'll start with ukulele. Here's it as a nice and small size. Okay, and now I'll grab my guitar. Very similar instrument, but the chamber is a lot bigger, okay? Did you hear that difference? All that's changed here in the sound, because I was muting the strings, all that's changed is the size of that chamber, okay? So that's what's happened, that's what happens when the vocal tract is exposed to testosterone, all right? The larynx starts to get larger, which is going to produce more guitar sound when it was originally the ukulele sound. So if you are masculizing, you're wanting to produce the guitar sound. You're trying to increase that larynx size. If you are feminizing, you're trying to reduce that larynx size, get that ukulele sound. Now, we can super easily do this. Our larynxes have this cool little ability where they can move up and down. Moving it down will stretch it out. Moving it up will shrink it down. Okay, so we can literally just directly manipulate the size and undo those effects of testosterone. Okay, so if you watch, look for my larynx. That's this big block of cartilage here. You can see the Adam's apple in the middle of it. Okay, watch as I move it up and down and listen to the sound that's made. Okay. You can hear it gets brighter as I move it up. Okay? Excuse me. So if I was to do that again, and I'll just go like ah for it, you can hear the change in sound. Okay? So it's not a pitch thing. I did do a bit of pitch at first, which is why I redid it. Okay? You can keep it totally monotonous. So it can stay totally pitchless as you go through the whole thing, which is like one of those bits of evidence. This isn't pitch. This is larynx height or resonance or vocal tract size, whatever word you want to use. I don't care which word you use. You have to go now? No worries. Rewatch your VOD if you want to catch up. You're getting surgery to install a ukulele in your throat. Perfect. That's how you truly feminize. Okay, so an exercise to have a little go of this. My favourite is the Big Dog, Little Dog. Literally just pant like you're a really big dog. And then pant like you're a small dog. Okay? All right. And if you're feminizing, stay on the small dog and do a phonation test. If you're masculizing, other way around. Okay? And that's how we start changing our voice. Yeah, links are blocked for people that haven't been for longer than 20 minutes. Sorry, in Trans Academy. If you're trying to link one of my links, they are below me now. YouTube is youtube.com/@trans_network. And Discord, I'm not going to read it out, but it's there. You can also get a link to my YouTube. Oh, sorry, you can get a link to both if you look in wherever I pinged you. I would have pinged you with the Zara's 1-2 account. It's all in my profile, so you can get links to everything. Also on the YouTube, there's a link to the Discord there as well, if you prefer to be going from there. But yeah, use whatever you want. Oh, just a Bugs Bunny gift. Fair enough. Yeah, the reason why the big dog, little dog exercise works is because essentially what you're doing is whispering. It's basically a whisper. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's just whispering. And when we're whispering, we don't have proper phonation going on, which means we can't really go up and down pitch very easily. What instead happens is your larynx will move up and down to like sub in for it. Okay? So when I go, you can see my larynx. Okay? So, big dog, little dog, really, really good introduction to this element of your voice. And as I said, make sure you go from the panting into a phonation test and then go for some talking. Okay? Can you unmute? I'm going to ask everybody to unmute. So if you understand the exercise, people, then everybody, let's all unmute and let's all do this together. So we're going to do
I wanted
big
to
dog,
add
little
something.
dog. Pardon?
I wanted to add something actually.
Yeah, go for it.
So actually, I'm a native Arabic speaker, and I realized I actually had an easier time voice training because Arabic has a lot of like sounds and consonants that are produced in the back of your throat, specifically by raising your tongue and closing your larynx, such as ain, ghain, qaf, and like these sounds made it easier for me to actually voice train. So I'm wondering if like the language you speak actually affects voice training.
So the language you speak shouldn't affect it too much. There might be some very specific things. Even what you're saying right now, that doesn't sound like it would actually impact voice training that much because we're mainly going for things that have happened before what you're talking about. So when you say closing off the larynx, that's like the epiglottis comes in and shuts it off. So when you swallow, no food comes through, but we can do it manually, which changes the sound of our voice. But yeah, that's going to have some different effects. You might be finding that your language has introduced some like oropharyngeal constriction or oropharyngeal closure, and that's another thing that brightens the voice. But the main thing you need to be doing is your raising and lowering of the larynx. But if there's a particular language that incorporates that more, then they would probably have an easier time because they've probably been doing it more. Just like if you are like super into singing and you do a lot of singing, you've probably done some of this before. You've probably not done it to this extent, but you'll be vaguely familiar. Okay? So everybody on mute, and we're all going to do a big dog, little dog together into a phonation test. Okay? So 3, 2, 1.
Go.
Very nice. Well done, everybody. Good stuff. I love that. Okay, back to muted. That was great. Well done. Okay. So make sure you practice the ever-living heck out of that. Another thing you might notice when you're doing this, if you find that you are doing other stuff as well as moving your larynx, the main thing is going to be if the changes. So if you're going like, you can hear how I've gone from a ho to a he. Okay? I don't want that. Okay? Stick to the same thing. If you're struggling with that, then go for a vowel or a simple word. So like we could do like an a or like a cat. Okay? cat. Okay? Just a small word where like the vowel is the main focus. Okay? So you can keep it on the same vowel as you're doing the whole thing. And you can go through your different vowels. So where I've got whispered vowels there, that's what this is. We could do like an O. We could do like pot. Okay? Pot, 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 pot. Pot. Okay? Any of the different vowels. Kit. Kit. Okay? Anything works. Just play around with your different vowels and make sure that you're staying on the same vowel the entire time. That's really important. Okay? The reason that's important is because I don't want your O's all turning into E's. Because, like, one day you'll have to say pot, and I want you to be able to say pot in your desired voice. Okay? And vice versa if you're going the other way. Okay? If you're masculizing, all the same stuff, but we're going for the lower larynx one. Okay? Do we have any masculizers today, by the way? I usually only get feminizers, but it's always worth checking. Do we have any masculizers today? Masculizing is easier if you're on HRT than feminizing. So HRT won't affect your voice for feminization. Estrogen just doesn't have any effect on your vocal tract, but testosterone does have an effect on your vocal tract, all the stuff we talked about earlier. But still, for people that are masculizing, if you're wanting to do it sooner than your testosterone gets into effect, then go for it, you know? And not every trans dude does take HRT. Testosterone usually makes it easier for trans guys. The fact that cultural masculine voices are considered for default makes it easier for them to stealth. Cultural masculine voices are considered for default? I think it's more just for testosterone having the effect on their stuff. Oh, making it easier for... Oh, I don't know. So will testosterone blockers change it? No. Once the testosterone has done its thing, it's done its thing. If you were to take testosterone blockers before puberty starts or before your voice is dropped, then yes, that would, because it would stop your vocal tract from androgenizing in the first place. But if it has androgenized, it's androgenized, and it needs behavior to change it instead. But that behavior is doable. You're hearing it right now. My voice is fully androgenized. I'm 27. I started voice training at 25, so 26. How old would I have been? Yeah, because I'm about to turn 28, so 26 I would have been. You live in Iraq, and there is surgeons in Iran who do feminizing voice surgery. What's my opinion on that? Feminizing voice surgery is a thing. There's a couple of different surgeries that exist, but none of them address the larynx size we've just been talking about. Currently, I've heard of an experimental one that's being like somebody's trying to make it happen. But as of right now, there's nothing that will reduce your laryngeal size. So ultimately, you will always have to do some voice training, even if you go for feminizing voice surgery. Which is why I recommend just do the whole lot from voice training, then you don't need surgery, because surgery sucks. Also, there are risks with doing surgery. Like all surgeries, while it's uncommon, there are risks. Things can go wrong sometimes, because that's just an inevitable. It just happens sometimes with surgeries. Not that this is like a particularly dangerous surgery, just in all surgeries, things can go wrong sometimes. And then you're going to have like a whole process of dealing with that, because that's your voice. The one with a laser, I believe, is a pitch one. So that will only modify your pitch, which, as you'll learn during this workshop, is a very small part of voice gendering. You'll notice we haven't even talked about pitch yet, other than things not being pitch. Pitch isn't a big thing. Yeah, I recommend, like, if I was giving advice to a friend, I would always say, go for voice training, because, like, unless you have, like, some kind of like diagnosis of some issue that's going to prevent you from doing voice training, then do voice training. Yeah. That said, if you just, you know, it is valid to just say, screw it, I can't be asked, and just get a surgery. Like, that's valid. I can get that. Just know that ultimately you will always have to do some voice training. Yeah. You do think people should do more voice training, trans or not? Acting is a beautiful skill that should be learned by most amount of people possible. Yeah, I mean, the voice is an awesome thing. I'd love it if everybody was into voice. I mean, for some people, it's just not their thing. They're just not interested, and that's fine. But I mean, it's cool that you can produce any gender voice that you want to. That's crazy, you know? Like, how is every dude not like, that's crazy. I want to learn how to do that. I don't know. Why doesn't every voice actor do masc and femme? I don't know. I think just not enough people know that this exists. If you have any cis friends though that want to learn, like, send them to my workshops or invite them to my Discord. Everybody's welcome. You've started voice training before even transitioning and cracking your egg? Yeah, for tabletops and RPGs, yeah, 100%. It's a cool little D&D thing. Somebody just put something very relatable in chat. You started questioning your gender when watching some femme voice tutorials for trolling. Yeah, the Omegle things, like Nat, Finster. Yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar. Might be how I figured some things out as well. Okay, so back to resonance slash larynx height slash size. I know voice terms are annoying because everybody uses different ones, so I just give you all of them so you know what's up. If you ever do get confused about terms, just let me know and I can explain any of them because I don't want anyone getting left behind. Does any character voices slash D&D voice help with training the vocal tract and resonance? The femme ones or masc ones, depending on which way you're going. There's not a voice in particular. You might use ones to like help you do like a particular thing. Like maybe you're going for a more closed quotient with a raised larynx. You'll want a voice that's like that to practice it. But just a voice that is the thing that you're trying to practice, that would be the thing that is the voice you're trying to practice. Yeah. You made a habit of trying to sing a little whenever you're tired and yawning. You find it helps a little. Maybe. I don't know much about singing, so. You're also training for metal singing, which includes metal screams. Is that bad for feminization? No, it should be totally fine. I'm not a professional on singing at all. I'm definitely not in terms of metal screams and stuff. Keep in mind there is a right way to do metal screams and a wrong way to do metal screams. So just make sure you're not hurting yourself. And if you do hurt yourself with it, it's fine, but take a break. Okay, so a little bit about size and resonance slash larynx height. Keep in mind, again, I've said it a million times and I'll say it a million times more. It's not the same thing as pitch. I'll demo again. That didn't change in pitch at all. It stayed monotonous. Versus if I go like that is changing in pitch, okay? And it's not changing in larynx height. So just keep that in mind, okay? All right, any questions or any last questions about size, about resonance, about larynx height? If you want to know why there are so many terms, by the way, it's just looking at the same thing from different lenses. So larynx height is the thing that we're manipulating to change the size of the start of our vocal tract, which impacts the resonance, or it impacts the way the sound resonates as it then leaves for your speaking. There are a few different resonant chambers. The larynx is one that we're focusing on, but there's the larynx for mouth, for lips, but we're focusing on the larynx because that's where the change has happened. So that's what we focus on. Any other questions? Anybody struggling with manipulating it themselves? Nope, everything fine. Good stuff. All right, lovely. So in that case, let's move forward. So fullness, okay? Fullness is the idea of your larynx height, your vocal tract size, your resonance, okay? I'm just going to use every term, being in balance with your weight or quotient, okay? So if you have a nice open quotient and you have a raised larynx, that's going to sound full. You have a closed quotient and a lowered larynx, that's going to sound full. But if you've got a closed quotient and a high larynx, that's going to sound a bit weird, a bit cartoony. If you have the opposite, an open quotient with a lowered larynx, that's going to sound a bit odd, a bit cartoony. Okay? The idea of fullness is just most voices you hear sound like those things are in balance. So when you start hearing them out of balance, it just sounds a bit odd. You'll find that a lot of cartoon characters have them out of balance intentionally so that they sound like cartoon characters, so they have interesting different voices. You'll have like SpongeBob. SpongeBob's got a very overfull kind of a sound going on with his voice. So he has a more closed quotient with a more raised larynx. So SpongeBob kind of sounds more like this, okay? This isn't like a perfect SpongeBob impression, but these two elements, okay? SpongeBob has both of these things going on, okay? You can also think of like the cartoon nerd has these things going on, or like an elf or a gnome or something like that will have these things going on, okay? So these are like this overfull kind of a sound.
And then on the opposite end, we have this very hollow, very underfull sound. So this is a lowered larynx, and this is a open quotient. And this is going to be voices like Patrick, if I add a bit of breathiness, now it sounds like Winnie the Pooh. I do like honey. And then if I have a bit more pitch movement, then I've got a Yogi Bear. I'm smarter than the average bear. Okay, this is a very Yogi Bear impression. Okay, so all of these kinds of voices are going to be more in line with cartoon voices that you hear.
But if I just raise my larynx back up, so now I have a raised larynx and an open quotient, now it sounds normal. It just sounds normal and femme. Okay, whereas if I then go back to a closed quotient with a lowered larynx, now it sounds normal. It just sounds like a normal masculine voice. Okay, so this is something to think about. You don't have to be perfectly full. Like you can be a little bit more hollow. I've gone to a little bit more hollow now. It doesn't yet sound fully. It probably sounds a bit more androgynous there. But yeah, you can play around with it a little bit. You don't have to be perfectly full. My voice generally is a little bit hollow. British voices tend to be a little bit hollow. Different voices in different geographies, different regions, like Latin America, a lot of their sounds a little bit overfull. Spain sounds a little bit overfull, or Spanish voices I should say. Just a little bit. Not so much that they sound cartoonish, but enough that they sound different from like West Coast America. West Coast America all sound like perfectly full. That like Valley Girl voice, that's very raised larynx, very open quotient, everything's perfectly in balance, and that's how you get that Valley Girl voice. So yeah, your region might affect exactly where you are on this graph, but you're always going to be in the relevant quadrant. So you're always going to be in that full femme quadrant or that full masc quadrant, and you're probably avoiding the hollow quadrant and the overfull quadrant. Does that make sense to everybody? And if you're not sure in terms of your region, just listen to the people around you. See what they've got going on. It's a good idea anyway to do that. Good for your ear training. Oh, serious question. What do I say about many trans girls accidentally sounding like Mickey Mouse? You want to avoid that? Yes. So I said earlier, I mentioned about the falsetto M2 voice. Some people call it head voice. This is when it kind of sounds like this. So this is me talking in M2 right now.
Or if I was to bring that back into my original voice, this is me sounding a bit more like Mickey Mouse. I've got that M2 coming in while I still have that lowered larynx.
The issue there is it's a totally different way of using your voice. So you have M2, which is that really high up kind of thing, and it sounds really airy. It sounds like hyper light, and it sounds a little bit weird. And then you have your normal talking. This is M1 or modal voice. It's just normal talking. Okay. M2 is something where like it's bad if you mean to be in something else. M2 is fine on its own, but if you were meant to be in M1, then it's not fine. I would say for normal talking, try to aim for M1. If you're struggling, then lean more into the M2 and do more of it so you can then correct back. Okay? You can also just try going lower in pitch. Eventually you won't be able to do it in M2. You find putting your hands in front of your ears helps you hear your head voice and hear your actual voice. I do not know what that sentence meant. I'm so sorry. Putting your hands in front of your ears helps you differentiate between M1 and M2. I don't understand how that would be the case. That's a cool little trick. I don't know. Is it? What are we talking about? Why would putting your hands in front of your ears change it? Do you mean like this? Like Do you mean that? So if I do that, all that's happening, you hook your thumbs behind your ear and fan them out like, yeah, so like kind of like what I'm doing here, okay? All right, what's happening now, it's not necessarily that it's helping you with M1 and M2 distinction, it's just making everything louder. If you think about what's happening literally, first of all, you're extending out your the disc of your ear with your hands. So now we have, imagine your ears are like satellite dishes, we just made the dish bigger, okay? And we've also moved it forward. Your voice is coming from the front, so if we were to move your ears forward, now it's going to be hearing more. So if you just need to turn up the volume, then you can just do that and then everything becomes way, way louder. It does distort the sound a little bit, but you can do that. Wait, you're blocking off the air? What? Like this? So now it's kind of quieter. They still sound the same, just quieter and muffled. In front of you, yeah, it just sounds muffled now. I do not know how that would help you. If it's helping you though, that's great. Just make sure that it is the right thing that's happening. Trans Voice Lessons has a video on it. I will check that video and see if it's any good. Maybe. Lesson you learned from reading the Quran. Cool. Yeah, maybe I won't put my seal of approval on it because I am completely unfamiliar with this, but maybe. Okay, any other questions about what we've been doing so far? Any more questions? I see people typing, so I'll wait for them to type. Does the larynx have to move physically? Yours doesn't seem to. It will probably move physically. It's not huge, like it's going to move up by like a finger or like a finger and a half. Mainly though, I want you to not worry about what your larynx is doing and listen to the sound, okay? Does it sound like the difference between ah and oh? Okay? If it sounds like that difference, then you're doing the right thing. And it should sound like more feminine. It might also sound like that's fine if it's going from like to okay? So long as you're getting into this brighter area, because all we've got there is you need to modify your quotient to get yourself over to where I'm at now. If your larynx isn't moving though, look out for if you're doing something else. Like, are you doing some weird mouth stuff? Are you doing some weird it's usually going to be some weird mouth stuff. Are your vowels being distorted? Like, does an ah still sound like an ah? Does an o still sound like an o? Does an still sound like an What's the actual physical mechanism to move the larynx up? You can't seem to keep it up while speaking. Don't worry about the physical mechanism. I will answer that question, but don't focus on the physical mechanism. Focus on the sound, okay? The physical mechanism is your larynx is attached to a bone called the hyoid bone. And you have some muscles that are like outside of all this that manipulate the hyoid bone. So as those extrinsic muscles contract, they lift up the hyoid bone, lifting up the whole larynx. But you don't need to worry about that though. In terms of your practice, what you need to worry about is the sound, okay? If you can't seem to keep it up while speaking, that's super normal, because this is a brand new movement that you've only just started learning. What I would say is do the drill, and then start talking. I don't want you reading, I want you to just talk out loud. You can talk about your day, talk about what you're doing, explain larynx stuff to yourself, whatever, just talk. Excuse me. And then actively listen to your voice as you're talking. Excuse me. Actively listen to your voice as you're talking. Every time you see things slipping and going down again, re-drill and then go back again. Okay? And just keep doing that. You might find yourself re-drilling like multiple times a sentence to start with, but it'll get better with time. It's all about those repetitions. Okay? So it'll be something like this. And now I'm going to start talking, and it started to slip. And now I'm getting it back again, and I'm going to actively listen to my voice, and if it starts to slip, it's starting to slip. And then I'll just continue talking, and you just keep going until you get to the end of what you're trying to say. It's repetitive, it's annoying, but it's the best way to learn. If you're doing that often, and if you're practicing regularly, you'll really quickly pick it up. Like I say, if you're practicing like 4 or 5 times a day, even if you're just practicing for like a minute each time, so like that's 5 minutes of practice a day, 4 or 5 times a day, that's amazing practice, and you'll pick it up really quickly. If you're doing like an hour once a day, it's going to be a lot slower, because that's just one practice a day. I want number of practices, not length of time. So, yeah. Thanks, no worries. Glad I could help. It's like learning how to breathe through your stomach again. It's not natural for yourself in the beginning, but then you find yourself doing it even when sleeping. Yeah, maybe. I haven't done any diaphragm stuff, except more singing stuff. But yeah, I imagine that's probably true. May you unmute for a moment? Is it like for a question or? Like, it depends on what we're adding. About hands. Tell me afterwards about hands thing, because I'll need to verify that later. But thank you for contributing it. I just need to like verify it first. But I'll look up that for next week. Cool. Okay. Any more questions about fullness? Does everybody feel like they understand it? I mean, it's a simple concept. I want to make sure you guys are all following. If you're falling behind right now, then there's a question you should be asking. Find out what you need to know. No questions? Okie dokie. Let's keep going then. So, well done. You just covered all of the trans voice stuff. If you've done everything we've just been going through there, then you're producing a feminine voice. The last thing you could think about is making it your own. Not every feminine voice sounds the same. My voice will sound different to any other woman's voice that you hear. So, yeah, let's talk about some different things that you might want to think about. You might find that you don't need any of this, and you might find that you want some of this. So yeah, customization things. So we have vocal fry. Vocal fry is when you start sounding like this. You can hear that kind of like popping going off in my voice. That's vocal fry. If you think about like Raven from Teen Titan, she has a lot of vocal fry. Okay, you'll hear as the workshop goes on more, I will get more and more vocal fry because that is something that happens when I get tired. Some people really like vocal fry, some people don't like vocal fry, so just have a think about it, see what you think. A neat little trick for vocal fry is a lot of people have this conflation where they hear vocal fry and they think effort in your voice. I still don't know why that's the case, but it seems to be the case. It's like, I think people just conflate it with constriction. I don't know. But it's a totally different thing. But we can take advantage of that conflation in most people's minds to make it sound like we're applying effort when we're not. So let's say your pitch floor is here. This is like as low as you can go. And let's say every time we go over here, we add vocal fry. It will sound like that's our pitch floor, okay? So this is one for the feminizers. We can just, while we're here, and then we can just go down a little bit in pitch, and oh my gosh, this is so hard for me. Listen to how hard this is for my voice because I'm having to have so much vocal fry, okay? I'm just going to have to bring things back up again because I'm feminine and I can't go super low pitch. Even though pitch has nothing to do with it, but most people think it does, so we take advantage of that. I didn't realise that I could go all the way down here, okay, with my pitch. So if you want to, you can take advantage of that, pretend that it's harder for you to go lower pitch than it actually is. Something that's fun. Also, some people just kind of like it. Also, pitch. I put pitch as a like gendered 0.5. It's like a little bit, but like not really. Pitch, basically, most feminine voices are going to be higher pitch, and most masculine voices are going to be lower pitch. However, if you are higher pitched as a masculine voice, you'll sound like you have a masculine voice that's higher pitched. And if you've got a lower pitched feminine voice, you'll just sound like you've got a lower pitched feminine voice. I have a lower pitched feminine voice. A lot of those voice apps will rate my voice and say androgynous or masculine because I generally am in lower pitches. It doesn't actually change the gendering of my voice. So yeah, lower pitch is totally fine if you want to go for lower pitch on a feminine voice. It's whatever's up to you. Some people find it more feminine, so play around with it, see what you think. Breathiness, we talked about it earlier. It's literally just outputting more air. Some people like to have it. If you like to have it, have it. So again, it just literally sounds like this. So if I just output more air as I'm talking, now it sounds like I have breathiness in my voice. Or I do have breathiness in my voice. It's that sort of turbulence going on. That's breathiness. So if you want extra breathiness, then go for it. It's totally fine. Twang. Twang is a bit more of an uncommon one. Twang kind of sounds like this. So if you want twang, then you can have twang. This is going to be more common in like a south of North America kind of an accent. Like a Texan accent kind of has a lot of vocal twang going on. I'm not going to do a Texas accent for very long because I have a terrible Texan accent, but here it is, and I'm so sorry to any Texan that's listening. But yeah, twang can be something that people like sometimes. Some people say that it projects the voice more, and the more I've played with it, the more I feel like that's not true. But maybe, it might be true. But it has that sort of twangy, kind of tinny quality to it. So if you want that, go for it. Lastly, accent. Your accent is something that is unique to you, but within your cultural context. So I sound like I'm British. You might sound like you are from whatever region. And if you want to, you can change this. It's just cultural stuff. If you want to change your accent to something, or you've started to lose your accent, you want to like bring it back, then just listen to voices with the accent that you want. Listen to the different elements of that accent and try to mimic it and try and bring it into your own voice. Sound like a valley girl frequently. Yeah, a lot of trans chicks are going to find themselves sounding valley girl. I think there's two main reasons for this. One is, quite frankly, bad vocal coaches. A lot of vocal coaches will teach you to sound more like a valley girl because they're thinking it sounds more feminine. The reality is just it sounds more feminine to their ears because they're freaking from West Coast America. It's horseshit. It is horseshit. I will lay a solid claim on that. They're bad coaches. They just are bad. So if people are trying to get you to like do like a really rotic R, like your fuck, I don't have it at all because I'm British. But your R is more like this. What are words that would have this? My brain is like frazzled right now. Like beer instead of bear. Okay, that R going in, that's a more rotic R. That's a more valley girl kind of a thing. If a voice coach is telling you to do that, then fire them because that is only relevant if you are in a particular region. So yeah. But if you want a certain accent, you are fully within your rights to have that certain accent. If you want to retain your current accent, then you're fully within your rights to do that too. There are women all around the world, believe it or not. Not every woman comes from California. So yeah, sound however you want to sound. Don't be forced into sounding like a valley girl. And if you want to sound like a valley girl, sound like a valley girl. It's totally fine. Okay, any questions about some customization stuff? You like Vocal Fry with Vocal Hot Sauce because Vocal Ketchup is kind of gross? Fair enough. I get that. Can you add me? I don't really do adding for like chit chat things. If you just want like links to stuff, then absolutely add me. If you're wanting like help with your voice, then head to my Discord. That's gonna be the best place. In my Discord, I have a variety of different things that can help you. There is a clip feedback channel where you can submit clips. You can just talk in the chats and ask questions. You can hang out with people and practice together. We also have a monthly makeup and beauty workshop, which is really cool. We just started doing that. What else? I also do lessons for people. We do have free lessons. Right now the lessons are fully booked. But once I finish my training, I'm going to start charging for private lessons and I'll have public lessons for free. So hopefully having that extra income, I'll be able to spend less time in my day job and more time teaching people. So more slots opening soon if you're wanting your lessons. And again, public ones are going to be free. Discord is no minors, I'm afraid. It is 18 plus. That's not, there's nothing like lewd or NSFW or anything. It's just I'm not comfortable with Discord's rules or Discord's like safety measures for minors. The fact that you can DM a minor is insane to me. I don't want somebody going into my Discord and messaging minors. That's insane. And obviously with political climate, this is a trans server. I don't want to get like shut down or something. So I'm sorry about that. As soon as you turn 18, you are absolutely welcome into the Discord. And while you are still a minor, you are welcome in every other area of the community. You're welcome for workshops. You're welcome for YouTube. All of that, you're fully welcome. It's just for Discord where I do have to keep things 18 plus. For safety reasons. Okie dokie. Any other questions about what we've been talking about so far? You've never practiced voice stuff before? Is there any exercise you can do that will help with your voice? Yeah, everything we've just been talking about. This entire workshop. Yes, everything we've just been doing. I'm guessing you turned up a little bit later. If you want, you can watch the VOD at youtube.com/@trans_network. Rewind the VOD and go through and listen to everything, because we've gone through like that entire process start to finish. Or come in time next week. We do the 7 p.m. UTC every single Saturday. So come do some learning. Oh, also missed. I see that you're in Trans Academy. Trans Academy has like community run, like that aren't affiliated with Trans Academy. It's just community members that are doing stuff. There's stuff every single day. There's also the actual Trans Academy ones, which I do not remember the dates of. But if you click on the events, they do two a week as well. So yeah, but I strongly recommend going for the VOD because you'll learn at an absolute ton. Okay, I'm seeing no other questions. So, okay, we are coming to the end of a workshop. We'll do one-on-one soon. Before we do, though, I want to do some special thanks. These workshops are brought to you by the people that support me on Ko-fi. If you would like to support me on Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/transnetwork. You can see the link below these two links. Those people are like providing the entire finances of Transnetwork. It's really crazy and really amazing that they do that. So huge thank you to those people. Right now, I've very recently hired a makeup specialist to come run workshops for you guys and to work for us in the server. That happened because people supported it with Ko-fi. So huge, massive thanks to those people. If you want to see more than this, like you want more than one a week, then help us out with Ko-fi. Share it around, encourage your friends to help with Ko-fi. Because really that's how I fund this happening. I do currently have to work full time in my like real life job. I'm a gardener because like I have to earn money and pay bills. But we're trying to transition to me being a full-time voice coach. So if you want to see that happen, if you want me teaching more people, then head over to the Ko-fi. And yeah, that's how we fund things. You want to see makeup made with coffee, made of coffee, since it's made with coffee. You messed up that sentence, not me. But yes, I agree. Thanks to workshop, you'll work on a first part lip jaws. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Okay, so special thanks to our Ko-fi supporters at tier 1. We have Red Kitten, we have M, we have Mihuggy, and we have Himori. Thank you so much to you four. You guys are amazing, and it's really crazy that you're supporting. Lanmisa as our tier 2 sub. Oh my gosh, you're really crazy. Thank you so much. And it had one tier 3 supporter, Beth. Beth, you're amazing. Thank you so much. You are bringing this stuff to the people, so thank you for that. That's really crazy that you do that, so thank you. And if you want to be on this list, then head over to Ko-fi. I appreciate the fuck out of everybody that does that. It's such a big deal, so thank you. Lastly, I also want to add a special thanks to Crammed Voice Lessons over at Singuistics. Charles is currently giving me teach training, and that's 100% free, which is crazy that he's literally training me for free. So again, the quality of these workshops are brought to you by Crammed Voice Lessons over in Singuistics. He's a super great coach. I highly recommend him. He's got loads of really good resources over there. So the Singuistics Discord server, super recommend it. The link is on screen right now. Also, like if you just Google Singuistics Discord, you will get a link to it. Like they're a big server. Also, I am running an event over there tomorrow. So if you want to practice some of what you've learned today, head over to the Singuistics server. They have an event called Trans Voice Lounge, and I'm doing the Afro-Eurasian Trans Voice Lounge because it is a time that works for me. So 2 p.m. UTC tomorrow, head over to Singuistics and head over to the Trans Voice Lounge. You do need to make sure you're on time with that one, because there's a big explanation at the start, and then we don't re-explain it because we'd have to be doing it over and over again. It'd interrupt the lounge. So go over there. It's going to be probably the best practice you can do. Like, I will explain the drill. It's going to be a quotient drill, so it's going to be for practicing quotient. Head over there. We'll do the drill and then talking, and I'll give you feedback live, like through text. It's kind of like a simulated conversation, but with the drills. It's the best practice you can get. So 100% head over there. You will get better. It's such a good, freaking amazing resource. So head over to that, and you'll be supporting me, which is really cool. So thank you. Besides Yawn Voice, Big Dog, Little Dog, and Whispered Vowels, are there any other resonance exercises? That's so many. How do you need more? Those are definitely the main ones. I can't think of any others that are going to be... Like, as we start going outside of those, you're going to start losing quality. I would very much... If you're struggling with Big Dog, Little Dog, or Whispered Vowels, then you're doing something wrong, and you should try and get some feedback from someone. Because those should work for you. Super helpful because you want to learn how to sing. Yes, Linguistics, they do trans voice, they do singing, trans singing, they do voice acting, they do the whole 9 yards. Everything voice, they do. So I super highly recommend them. And Charles does give singing lessons if you want singing lessons. So head over there. Any other questions about what we've been talking about so far? And I think I've done all my plugs, haven't I? Ko-fi, if you want to help financially, that's like, you are the best kind of a person. And thank you so much if you do head over to the Ko-fi. I do also do some like posts over there. I try to keep all the voice stuff publicly available and free. But there are just rants that I have. There's a lot of issues with the trans voice teaching community. A lot of trans voice coaches are really, really bad. Like, the standards are so low. They're down in hell. And SLPs, like, you are professionals. I do not understand why they're so bad. But I have a video talking about that over there if you want to hear about that. We do giveaways sometimes over there. So we just recently gave away a makeup consultation. And that's like an hour-long consultation. So, yeah, definitely head over to Ko-fi. It's a good time. It's a good time. You can hear that vocal fry coming into my voice sometimes. Because I'm getting tired now. If we have time, you'd like to talk about a hands thing. Not in this workshop, because I need to do some research on that first and, like, verify it. But we can talk about it in the future. It's not if you're struggling with them, you can do them, but you don't see that much of a difference in your actual speech, then you're probably doing it wrong. I guess it's more of a, I want to learn how to actually detect resonance. Okay, if you're wanting to listen for resonance changes, then you need to do some ear training. I super recommend, and I can get, if you're in my Discord, then you can just type in /Celine Clips, and you get these amazing resource for ear training. And I'm going to do that now, so I can then send the link to other people. I can just copy the text. That's so useful. I love Discord. Okay, that link will be super useful if you want to like hear resonance. You want to like build your ear training. Oh yeah, Layla, if you want to message my public inbox over in the Discord or somewhere in voice discussion, then that's probably the best place. Yeah, that's super reasonable, Sasson. Hopefully this workshop helps you for building up a voice of building up a list of what to actually do. Because this is basically, if you do all the stuff we're doing in this workshop, you'll get good. Wish you sent the bad coaches to the muck nugget bat lines. Yeah. I wish they would reach out more and learn more. Because a lot of them won't be able to tell you why things work the way they do. And I'm like, if you don't know why, how are you a teacher? Like, the people that have been through this full workshop, you now know why. Why do you know why? And a freaking speech language pathologist doesn't know why. It's crazy. But whatever. Oh, something I will also talk about to do with bad stuff that you might hear. Over to Southern Resonance. We talked about larynx height raising. Now, the reason you're able to raise your larynx is because of swallowing. Part of swallowing is your larynx goes up, your epiglottis closes, a bunch of other stuff, and you push the food down your esophagus. So larynx goes up, then it goes down as it pushes the food down, okay, and then it goes back to rest position. So an exercise that's out there is saying start the swallow and just hold everything in that position and talk like that. This is a horrible, terrible exercise that can cause injuries. The issue with it is, as I said, when you swallow, it's not just your larynx going up. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening when you swallow. So if you're trying to hold a swallow and talk through it, like it did hurt me IRL. Don't do it. Do not do it. It's really bad. If you try to talk through the swallow, like all sorts of stuff is happening to close stuff off. You're not meant to be talking during a swallow. Like your airways will cut off so you don't choke on your food. So you're not supposed to be talking during it. It's a really bad exercise that was made by some speech language pathologists years ago. The World of Speech Language Pathology recognizes that it's bad and doesn't use it anymore, but there are some people on YouTube and stuff that use it, and it's bad, and you shouldn't be doing it, and it can cause injuries. So anyone that says swallow and hold, that is like that's not a red flag, that's a black flag. Run away. They do not know what they're talking about. There are some YouTubers. I will name names. It was either Yuko EX or it was Fairy Princess Lucy. It was one of the two that was doing teaching swallow and hold. Bad exercise. Do not do it. They might have both spouted it at some point. The one that says like how to talk real good or something like, or how to girl voice real good. It's a really bad video. Do not follow it. Yeah, don't do it. Bad. Very bad. Okay, so workshop is coming to an end. Now we'll leave that on full screen. Workshop coming to an end. So if you have questions about voice in general, like trans voice stuff in general, anything that I didn't cover that you want me to cover, let me know. And if anybody wants some feedback directly on their voice, wants some one-on-one help, then this is the time for that. So type out your questions, think about if you want to go. I'm going to pop to the toilet real quick so you guys can have a little think about what you're doing. Okay, I'll be right back.
Patrolling the Mojave makes you wish for a nuclear winter. Patrolling the Mojave makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Hello. Okie dokie. Dude, for a quick makeup, this is like on fleek. I am not mad at this. It's literally just freaking the thing you put on first. Primer, foundation, some eyeliner, and some lipstick. It came out really good. I'm super happy with that. Okay, so we are still on stream. Yeah. So, boo, 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 boo. I don't see any questions. So, speak next to go next. Reminder that we are live on YouTube. So just keep in mind you are live. But if you would like to, if you'd like some feedback, then whoever speaks next gets to go next.
I would like some feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. How can I help you?
So currently the most comfortable voice I can do with some practice is somewhere around here with some of the throat closing and some of the other exercises. I am unsure if yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to add a quick correction. There isn't any throat closing.
Okay.
Throat closing would make you choke.
Oh, oof,
You're
sorry.
raising a larynx, is what you're doing there.
Okay. Yes.
Just to make sure, just in case you run into somebody telling you to close your throat, like that's some crazy stuff. So I'm just making sure you know that in case you run into an SLP that tells you to do that, because people tell you to do crazy stuff. So just arm you with that knowledge. So the first question is going to be, how do you feel about your voice?
I don't believe it is femme enough, I suppose.
Okay. And do you have any inclinations on what about it you're finding issue with?
I usually find it's the, I don't know, it feels like I'm talking from the back of my throat, but at the same time, I feel like there's still some of that more heavy or darker tone somewhere located in it.
Okay, so to give you what I'm hearing a very open quotient, very light vocal weight. Something is sounding off to me about the larynx height or resonance. I think what's happening, and it adds some knowledge on when you said closing off the throat. My guess is we do have some larynx raising, but we don't have a ton of it. I think what's happening is you're doing other things to brighten your voice. So there is something called the oropharynx. It is in the back of the mouth, back of the throat. And essentially you have these arches that sort of close a little bit. Your oropharynx is, if it continues down, it splits into two. One of them goes to your larynx, one of them goes to your food hole. And so, that is a thing. What some people will do is they will close the oropharynx a little bit. They'll sort of constrict it a bit, and that will brighten the sound. This is a fine thing to do, but it isn't a replacement for larynx height. Larynx height wants to be more of a focus. So I think you have some conflation there, if I was to guess. So let's have a little listen to your big dog, little dog, and let's see what happens. So you can give me a big pant, and a little pant, and then the phonation test. Do it again, please. Sorry, the full drill. The full drill.
Oh.
Okay, so a couple of things I'm hearing. One, we're going from a ho to a ha. So do you notice how that sort of vowel of it is changing? Okay, that's going to be changing things a little bit. You're basically trying to use your mouth instead of your larynx to change the sound. Also, I heard a drop as you went into phonation. So yours sounded like this. Ha. In fact, it was more like ha. Do you hear that drop compared to the pant?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
if I was to do it
do.
as you were doing it, but if you were to make it work better, it would be ha. And now we have that phrase larynx keeping in there. So what I want you to do is, I think first thing we'll do, I'm going to replace your pant with the word cat. So can we go cat, cat? That's going to be your drill. Give it a go.
My mic isn't picking this up.
Now, you hear what was happening at that lower? We had like you're moving between cot and cat. Keep it on a cat, okay? No cots. Try again. Better. Don't play with the pitch. And once you're going into phonation, don't try to play with it after that. Just keep it as it is. If it isn't high enough, then go back to the whisper, go higher, and then, like any of your tweaking, do it in that whisper space, okay?
Okay.
All right, but that was sounding pretty good. So what we're going to do is I want you to do the drill again. You'll go into your phonation test, and then I want you to tell me, tell me about your favorite hobby.
Okay. I really like to draw pictures. I like to.
Pause.
I.
Did
Oh.
you hear that drop? Did you hear the drop? So whenever we have that drop, re-drill and keep going.
I like to draw pictures. I
You don't
like
need to be
art.
breathy.
I like to draw pictures like art, and I am studying to be an artist at some point. So that's my favorite hobby to
Yeah,
do.
that sounds really cool. That was really, really good. Well done, Evelyn. That was a massive improvement already. Now, we went into a much more closed quotient. That's fine for now. I don't mind. Because right now we're just doing larynx height, so I don't care what your quotient does. That can be something you fix way down the line. But I would say keep practicing this. Your larynx height is a little bit wobbly still, but you're definitely getting much, much closer to the right direction. Keep doing that practice. You can change the cat to be a different word. Cot could be a good one, or cut could be a good one, or pot, or pet. Just things with pit, things with a different vowel in the middle, like a small word where it's basically the vowel is the main thing of it. But we're keeping it a word just so it's more, just so it's more intuitive for you as you're moving up and down to keep it on that same word. It's like clearer and it's easier for you to hear it. Like if it was to move, like you can very easily hear the difference between pot and pat, but it can be more difficult for people while they're doing it to hear the difference between ot and a. So yeah, have a play with that, and I think you're going to do well.
Thank you.
That was a good progress. Keep working on it. Fab. Okay, who is next? Speak next. Go next. Oh, how do I feel about app voice tools? Yeah, okay, I would say that they all suck. Unfortunately, there is no app that can analyze your voice in any useful way. Voice Tools is a particularly bad one because it only analyzes your voice based on pitch. As you've heard in this lecture, pitch is barely gendering your voice at all. So anything that's just looking at pitch is barely doing anything. I can very easily speak in a very clearly feminine voice and get it to tell me that it's masculine, and I can very easily speak in a very masculine voice and get it to say that it's feminine. It just doesn't do anything. It has a tone feature as well. The tone feature isn't a tone feature, it's just notes. That said, it has a little pitch generator, so it can just produce a note for you. That can be useful if you're aiming for a particular pitch. Outside of that, though, it's basically a useless app. It's got a nice little recorder on it. You can record your voice and listen back to it. But any type of analysis that it does on your voice, completely ignore it. It's useless. And any app that says it can analyze your voice, I've never seen any that aren't. Like, the best I've seen is like a bit shit. So, like, there's just no point using any of them. They're just going to throw you off and make you worse voice stuff. So yeah, I would say the best way to analyze your voice is by listening to it. There probably will never be a voice analyzer better than you. So stick to your own ears. Trust them. They're pretty good. Devil tech. Yeah, true. Yeah, I wish they would either rebrand or put disclaimers or just something, or just freaking take them down, because those apps are really bad and they suck. I see a legit voice coach. If you Google voice feminization, one of the earliest ones is like Christina someone. I don't remember her full name. But she uses an app, and it is like this app. And it sucks. And I can't believe she promotes that. It's so bad. Yeah. Anything that says it can analyze your voice is wrong. Sorry. They usually just use pitch. Tips from ChatGPT? Probably not. Although that said, I have seen people ask questions to ChatGPT and legit it gave better answers than some voice coaches I've seen. So I don't know. The bar is so low in terms of quality that ChatGPT. But no, stick to like people that know what they're talking about. I obviously believe I know what I'm talking about. I would say Charles from Linguistics is very good. Jessa here in Trans Academy is very good. Savvy here in Trans Academy is very good. I would pretty much stand by like any of the unaffiliated people that are doing lessons here. So like Azrali, Lexi, Winter, these are all very good coaches. They're all in my training cohort. They're training with me. So I would recommend them. Outside of there, I will remain neutral because I have not looked at everybody. Oh, Celine's really good. Celine De Silva from OVC, she's really good. Ziana from Trans Voice Lessons is pretty good, although she's been making videos as she's going through the learning process, and she was like early on when they were still figuring out a lot of trans voice stuff. So not all of her videos are great. Like I have issues of her beginning of video. Her like introduction to voice feminization. There are a few things that are like, that's not the thing that you think it is. Like her high larynx high larynx closed quotient, or as she would put it, bright resonance and heavyweight isn't heavyweight, it's twang, which is a totally different thing. But hey, I'm pretty sure by now she's like very good. She did give us the gem of Heat from Fire, Fire from Heat. Again, I think that's one of those sentences that's like, it's a really good sentence for that Valley Girl voice. Because again, she's from West Coast America. I don't know why every voice coach is from West Coast America. At least that's the accent she has. Yeah. She's generally, I would say like she's 80% very good. There's just like a few little things that I think if she was to look at it now, she'd be like, oh, I should fix that. But hey. All right, who would like feedback next? If you would like some one-on-one help, speak next to go next.
Hi, I'm Blue
Hi.
here. Nice to meet everyone.
Sorry, what was that? I didn't quite.
So, yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go for it.
Oh, yeah. So, right now my larynx isn't raised properly.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I got your feedback about that. But thing is, even if I try to raise my larynx, the voice which I get after that doesn't sound as bright as I expect it to be. Other than that, can you identify any other issues with the way I am, with the way my voice is?
Well, let's start off where you've suggested. Let's go with some larynx. So can we have a nice little big dog, little dog into a phonation test, and let's have a listen to what happens.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll now bring it down. So but this is a bit difficult for me to sustain this height continuously. I'm trying my best to hold my larynx where it is at the moment. And hopefully it stays there for the duration I'm talking, but I'm not really
Now,
sure. It's
okay,
really
some
hurting.
questions. Some questions to see, well, to do some diagnosis. So, firstly, when you say it's hard to keep your larynx high, what specifically do you mean by that? Do you mean it's difficult on a skill level, or do you mean it's like physically like intensive and is like hard to do?
I would say it's physically intensive. I mean, I have to put a conscious effort to make it stay up. Like when I'm doing this big dog, little dog exercise, by the end of it, it remains up. But the moment I start speaking, maybe after a couple of words, it comes back down.
But when we say that you're consciously having to like focus on it, is it like you're having to like mentally focus on it, or is it like
Not
there's like
mentally.
a lot of physical
I
effort, like
usually
it's
use
like a
my
heavy weight, like you're having to push a lot, like using muscles a lot?
yeah, exactly that. I feel a lot of pressure in my throat that I need to consciously hold it upwards while
Okay.
speaking.
Okay, so that's a problem. We shouldn't have a lot of like physical tension and strain like that. What's probably happening is you're raising your larynx, but you're doing a whole bunch of other stuff at the same time, and you're conflating those other things as being relevant when they're not. This often happens, especially at people when they focus on like the muscles and they focus on like the larynx too much instead of focusing on the sound. What's essentially happening is your brain, because it doesn't really know what it's doing with this, because this is a new skill for you, it's kind of, instead of doing like a precise like sniper of like larynx up, it's instead just like shotgun firing and like, you guys do a thing. So you need to learn to differentiate what's what a little bit. Essentially, anything that feels super effortful, try to remove that without the sound changing. Okay, go back to your and try to continue talking like that. And anything where it crops up with something tensing up, try to remove that. Okay, if you're struggling to do that, depending on what it is that's tightening up, we can do different things. So like if you find the back of your neck, when I was learning the back of my neck, I would tense it up a bunch because I had that conflation. So I would just very gently roll my neck so that those muscles are busy doing something else so they can't tense up. Okay? Some people have their tongue tensing up, so I'll get them to like flip their tongue out and continue like that. Obviously it down sounds a bit weird, but we'll continue doing what we're doing, knowing that the tongue right now can't tense up. It's busy doing something else. Okay? If it's your jaw, you can kind of wiggle your jaw around. You know, anything, just get the thing moving. That way it can't tense up. Another thing you can try doing is like massaging it. You know, if it's your cheek or whatever, try massaging or whatever's tensing up. That muscle there underneath everything. Yeah.
But the thing is, when I go for that big dog, little dog exercise, when I'm doing the little dog, my mouth actually opens up really wide. But
Okay.
it's a bit awkward in speaking in that condition.
Okay, so if your mouth is opening up really wide, you're doing something wrong. It sounds like you're probably trying to do what the previous person was doing, where you're changing like the words you're saying and the sound you're making instead of changing the larynx height. So for that, try, instead of doing the pants, try like a short word with like a vowel in the middle, like pot or pat or kit or cot. We'll go with pat just to make something simple. Try doing pat. Have a go at that. Pause just for a second. I just need you to tweak your settings real quick. Your noise suppression, and this applies anybody that wants help on resident stuff, make these changes. I want you to turn off your noise suppression. It's next to the disconnect button. Just click on that and turn off the noise suppression. And then in your settings, voice and video, scroll down just a little bit and you will find your input sensitivity. So make sure you set that to manual so it's grey, and then set the slider all the way to the left. It will come up with like minus 100 decibels. Just because Discord will cut out like the pants. and like for different things you do in that exercise, it'll cut it off because it thinks it's just some background sound. You'll know you've done it right because you'll see on mine I've got it like that, and my box is always lit up because of it.
Is it better now?
Yeah, go for
you
the
must be getting lots of
go for
background sound
pots,
now.
and we'll find out. Or pats.
So I'll start with bat. No, I'm actually whispering. Wait.
Yeah, you should be whispering. You should be whispering.
Bat, 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 bat.
Okay,
Bat, bat,
I'm going to repeat
bat.
what you just did. I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to do it the correct way, and then I'm going to do what you did, and I want you to listen to see what the difference is, or to hear what the difference is. Okay. So here's the proper one. Here's what you did. What changed?
I guess the transition was a bit.
What did I start
It wasn't
doing
a
in the second
gradual
one?
transition. You started with a like that big talk example. You started with a heavy tone, and then you moved it to a lighter one, I guess.
But what changed between the two versions I did? So here's the first one. And here's the second one.
Loudness.
Yeah.
It became louder.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what you were doing, okay? So watch out that you don't do that. Don't start increasing the effort and output. It should be the exact same effort and output. We're just raising up, okay? If you whisper, you can think of it. When you're whispering, you can think of it as a higher pitch. It's not a higher pitch, but I don't mind you thinking of it that way. Just as long as you remember that it's not actually a higher pitch. And when you're to go into voice, pitch isn't what we're doing, okay? Give it a go.
Bat, bat, bat.
Wait, pause for
yeah.
a moment. You still cut out, and I don't know why. Because I can see your green box was there the whole time. Try again. You're just getting louder.
Oh wait, I try once again.
Better, better. Now, something I'm hearing. Do you hear how it's almost sounding like a bit choked? Like it's going from like a... Like it sounds like if you were to keep doing it, you'd like choke on your voice.
Yeah, I get that. That's exactly what's happening.
So that's something we don't want to be doing, okay? Instead, we want to be focusing on... Let's try a different vowel in case that changes things. We'll go for pot, okay? I don't want you feeling anything in your mouth, anything in the back of your throat. I don't really want you to feeling much of anything. I just want the sound to change, okay? Okay, give that a go.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I'm actually speaking. Are you able to hear me or not?
Something's happened to your mic. You've just gone super quiet. I don't know what happened.
I'll try to do it a bit louder.
Oh, there we go. No, I think something actually happened to your mic because even when you were talking, it was like super cutting off. But whatever it is just fixed itself. You might have like a dodgy cable or something. But go for it.
Might be.
Good. Keep going. Keep going. Higher. Higher.
That's the highest I can go.
I think you could go higher. I promise you, you can go higher. Better. Now go into phonation. Okay, drop your pitch. Drop your pitch. Drop your pitch. Like drop your actual pitch.
Yeah, it's really.
Okay.
Okay, I'm holding it up.
Okay, you're going into M2. You're trying to bring it into a really high pitch as you're going into your talking. So you did this. like this. And then when I tried to tell you to go lower in pitch, you just kind of went, ah, and now you're lower in pitch. But do you hear how this right now isn't how I normally talk? Because this isn't that falsetto, heady kind of a voice. I want it in your normal kind of a voice. So none of that Mickey Mouse stuff. If you want to, like in your head, think low pitch as you go into talking. So like, this is me at a lower pitch, but I still have that raised larynx. Yeah?
Is there any way I can feel when the larynx is at the
Don't
correct
try to
height?
feel anything. Don't try to feel anything. Focus on the sound. I think trying to feel things is what's gotten you going wrong. Because then you've got all these other muscles. You're trying to feel for something, and so you're tightening up a bunch of muscles so you feel something, which is what's throwing you off. I don't really want you feeling very much at all.
All right. I'll try the example once again.
Your mic is doing whatever your mic is doing again. I can't hear you right now if you're doing anything or if you're talking.
Okay, I think
you're
it goes off in the middle somewhere. I am really not sure why that's happening.
Yeah, I think you have a cable issue. I think you like literally have like a damaged cable or something.
Fine.
That's my
Anyway,
best guess.
I'm feeling a bit tired also after doing this a couple of times, so I'll
It's either
take some
that
rest, I
or you
guess.
might have a built-in noise gate in your mic. Do you have like a super expensive mic?
Yeah, I'm wearing a headset right now.
A headset, okay. It could either be that you're accidentally pushing your mic away from your mouth. If you're not doing that, then my guess is you have your headset's a bit damaged, maybe. That's my best guess.
Okay, I'll try to have a look. But anyway, I think my throat is a bit tired after doing this a couple
Yeah,
of
that's
times.
fair
I'll
enough. Because of your
rest
particular
and,
issue, you're going to get tired quicker because you're tightening up a lot of muscles. So your homework is I want you to focus on removing all these muscles that are coming into it. As you go into your like, you shouldn't feel any muscles changing at all. Okay. Technically, your larynx is going to move up. You can kind of see mine. Yeah, you can see my larynx going up. But for you, I do not want you focusing on that because I think that's going to have you having more issues. Focus on the sound and make sure that the pot stays a pot the whole time. It doesn't turn into a pat or a pet or a pit. It just says pot. Yeah, I think that's going to be most of what you should focus on. And any tension that you feel, any muscles popping up, try to get them doing something else or try to work them, like massage them a bit, or just try to like focus on relaxing them. Anything like that is going to help you. Okay?
all right. Thanks.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Any chance I can move my speakers closer to your mic? I think that will mess things up in terms of you hearing me back again. You are in my sus Awolf Wolf. You're in my server, so your job, okay, or anybody that is in Trans Network, you are to bully the heck out of me and make sure that this week I install what's it called, voice meter. Bully me, make sure I install and set up voice meter, okay? That is your job. Make sure I do that, okay? You are my solution to ADHD. Until I get meds, you're making me do that, okay? Okay, Layla, yes, you can absolutely be next. Go for it. How can I help you?
Hello. I hope my mic is not too loud or anything. I just boosted the
Perfect.
settings so it's more audible.
It's absolutely
Yeah,
perfect.
okay. So it's good thing that the training is a doggy because I'm a doggy. That's my persona.
Yeah, good shit, good shit. Okay, check your settings because I can tell they're not in the right place yet. Voice and video, over to your input sensitivity, and make sure you have it on manual and set it all the way to the left.
It is on manual, and let me put it. Okay, now it's all the way to the left.
Perfect. I can tell. And if you're in your settings, voice and video right now, then scroll down where you get to noise suppression or crisp or however it's labeled.
Yeah, disable crisp.
Yep,
Roger
disable
that.
crisp. It'll be on none.
Okay, one second.
Perfect. And then you're wanting me to help you with some Big Dog, Little Dog. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. I just want to be. I'm pretty happy with my voice right now, but I want, like, there's always room for improvement.
Okay.
And so it's like, it goes like this.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, the crisp thing is still there. Okay.
Okay, turn
Now
off
it
your
should be
voice.
off.
Right.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think primitive technology.
Yeah, I know, right? Discord's a nightmare.
Okay.
Okay, pause. Can we do it quieter? I feel like you're putting like a ton of effort into it, and I worry that
Oh,
that's
okay.
going to come through into your voice as strain. So just
Oh, okay,
nice and
okay.
gentle.
So not the Jason Voorhees sound effect from Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, nice and gentle. Keep it gentle. Better. And into the phonation test.
Hello.
Do the full drill with a phonation test.
Oh.
No. You'll skim the drill.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Good. Okay, I think you're. So I think I heard a slight drop in your larynx height as you went into the phonation test. So work on that. And also, in my opinion, I think you can get smaller if you want to. Now, you're telling me you're pretty happy with your voice, so you don't need to. Because if you've reached your goals, you reach your goals. That's perfect. That said, if you wanted to get to a smaller dog, brighter resonance, or more raised larynx, I think that's within your ability levels. Is that something you're interested in, or are you just happy where you're at?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, then, so let's try. I want you to stay in that whisper for a bit and just have a little explore. See how small you can get that dog. Okay, pause. As you're going higher there, it sounds like you're kind of choking. Is that happening?
I am having a bit of a sore throat. Sorry, it's winter over here.
Oh, okay. So just my reason for asking that is I'm suspecting that you're trying
I'm
to do
grabbing
something
some water.
else as well as raising your larynx. It's kind of similar to the previous two callers. Something else is coming into play. Now, that might not actually be the case. It might just be if it's very cold air, that might be screwing you up a little bit. So I don't.
I was drinking Pepsi, so maybe this is like the
Okay,
sugar.
drinking Pepsi's not going to help.
I got water over here.
Also, yeah, being a bit dehydrated, which Pepsi dehydrates you. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
That also might be screwing you up a bit.
Yeah.
So, because of that, I'm going to say
Hydrating.
hydration, and it's going to be difficult for me to analyze your voice because it's not in a happy
Okay.
state right now.
I got the water. I guess do another test.
It takes a while for that to do anything. It'll
Yeah,
be like
I
20
know.
minutes. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. You can head over to my Discord if you want to, and submit a clip once you're fully hydrated, and I want you to be properly hydrated, okay? And do some softies, that'll help you with it as well. Or submit a clip in Trans Academy and ping me, because I will miss it if you don't ping me. Bear in mind,
Okay.
I might take a day or two, because my weekends are pretty busy.
I understand that.
Yeah, either of those two are totally fine. Yeah, either of those are totally fine.
I will try to bully you a little to install the thing.
Yes, also, by all means, bully me. Everybody,
I can't.
all-
You're too nice. I can't bully you, but I will keep reminding you.
Well, sure. But
If you
everybody's
do it,
welcome
I'll
to-
give you head pats. How about that? I guess
Yeah,
we're all
okay,
dogs now.
Fine. Head pats in exchange for voice meter installation. Yeah, I need to get that done. I've been meaning to get that done for months. But yeah, okay, you hydrate and then come back to me.
Okay.
And then
Thank
I'll
you.
analyze your proper voice.
And I would like to say, patrolling the Mojave makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
What makes you wish for nuclear winter?
Patrolling the Mojave makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
You're saying that so fast, it's not going through.
Patrolling the Mojave makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Controlling for what?
Mojave.
Mojave? I don't know what that is.
Play Fallout New Vegas, then you're gonna know what I mean.
Fair enough. I don't know.
It's a trans fam meme. It's a
I
trans
don't know
fam.
any of this. Mojave Desert. It's a Fallout quote. Okay. I'm afraid I haven't played Fallout. I was a Skyrim girl.
You play
Okay.
Fallout London after, since you're British.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Alrighty. You don't know if you'll be able to be on voice chat. Your father just arrived with his girlfriend, and they're extremely annoying when they're together. Yeah, it's fair enough. You don't want them to enter and mock you as they do with everything else. That sucks. That's like super shit if they do that. Aru, some advice I had for you, and this applies to everybody that has issues with the people they live with. For your voice training, if you need to, and if it keeps you safe, you don't necessarily have to be feminizing your voice. You could be learning to sing, wink wink. You could be learning to voice act, wink wink. You could be learning to maybe you have a part in a play, yeah, and you're just practicing for that. It's not feminizing. What are you talking about? Okay, make up whatever bullshit you need to make up so that you're able to feminize your voice in peace. Also, going for walks can be useful. You can do your voice practice into a pillow. That'll help muffle things. Yeah. Cars are really good when they're turned off because they're just very good noise insulation. Whatever you got to do to get yourself a better environment. Layla, that is a thing that can be done, and you mainly need to focus on keeping your larynx raised for what you're doing there, and then that's all there is to it. Slowing it down can help as well, but yes, you can do that. Yeah, you voice train the car. Yeah, it's super useful. Keep in mind that if you are like driving the car, then just the sound of the engine might train you to go a bit louder than you mean to. So just keep that in mind. Don't do all your training in a running car because just the other sounds can just interrupt you a bit. You're going to leave now? Thanks for everything. Yeah, I'm super happy that I was able to help you, Ari. And good luck. I hope that your issues aren't too impeding. Yeah, True Sisis, you wanna go? Is that an indication that you want to go next?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, go for it. How can I help you?
Well, like I said, it's mostly regarding the resonance, because like during the exercises, I can feel and I can see and all of the other stuff that I am actually raising my larynx, and I guess some stuff also changes, but then it's like I guess I just don't have a feel for it, how to detect it yet. I don't know.
So I would say don't go for having a feel for it. Have a listen for it. So, okay, can you hear the difference? I'm going to change my larynx height. Tell me if you can hear it change, okay?
Yeah, no, I definitely hear that, but it's just
Okay.
like it's hard for me to judge the like optimal for me, I guess. That's what I mean.
Sure.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, how do I want to do this one? Okay. Think about what your target voice is. I don't know if you have a specific target voice in mind. And for everybody, I would say femme is not a target voice. We want to be a bit more specific than that. How bright do you want your resonance? How heavy do you want it to be? All the customization things we talked about. Get more specific. Because otherwise you might find yourself chasing just brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter infinitely and never be satisfied with your voice. But yeah, back to True Sisis. Pisces, however I say your name.
You can just say Anastasia.
Anastasia, that's much easier. Thank you. Yeah, Anastasia. Yeah, what is the goal? What are we after?
Well, I suppose The thing is, I've never actually really thought about it that much.
so?
It was like, okay, I want to be like recognized as having a feminine voice, but then the question is, I cannot look into other people's minds, so
Yeah.
I can only guess what would sound feminine. But then again, that can get a bit skewed.
Yeah, so okay, here's my prediction of here's my read on what's happening. I think what's happening is you are chasing the infinite larynx raise. You get to where you're at and you're like, okay, what's next? Raise it more. And you get to there and you're like, okay, what's next? Raise it more. And you are just going as far as is possible and then trying to go further. I would have a think about one, critically evaluate your voice. Does it sound like this or does it sound like this? Okay.
Yeah.
And two, have a think about what your goals are and where you actually want to be. Useful can be listening to some other voices. You don't have to be imitating a celebrity, but it's a good idea to just have a little listen to what's out there and see what you like. You can mix and match from different voices you hear. Just get an idea of what different voices sound like, and like have like a conscious critical think about that, so you can get a gauge on where you want things to actually end up, and then compare that to where you're at right now. Are you at your goals or not? That's going to be your question. Do I want to go this far or not? We will. I think it's useful. My suspicion is going to be that you might find that you might have reached your goals. I'm not going to tell you if you've reached your goals, but your larynx sounds raised. You sound like you have a pretty light vocal weight, a pretty open quotient. If you feel like you're unsatisfied, that's totally fine, and you can keep going. But consider whether you might have just achieved your goals. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Well, thanks.
No, you're super welcome. You're super welcome. I think things are sounding closer than you think they are. Is where I'm getting at with that. All right, cool. Who has other questions? You think she sounds very nice? I think that might be a case too. What else we got? Would anybody else like some help with anything? You don't have money, can you pay me with oil rations? I don't know what I would do with oil rations. Sell your oil and then you can pay me. You'd like some help, Snastin? Yeah, go for it. Unmute, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So, oh, wait, one sec. So, this is about as far as I've been able to push it so far. And I haven't, I dropped.
Make sure you're including the phonation test as well.
Okay. So this is about as far as I've been able to push it so far. And I don't really know where to move past this because to my own head, it's still... I think it's a pitch thing, but I haven't been able to get it to a high enough point, I think larynx-wise, that it still sounds gravelly in my head.
Yeah, so I don't think pitch is a problem here. I do think larynx height. I think specifically what's happening is, and you were hearing it a bit, you need to like super laser focus, but if you keep practicing, I think this is going to fix itself. Your larynx height was going up. I think it could go a bit higher, but as you get better control, you'll probably just be able to do that. What's also happening though is you're bringing it up, you're going into your phonation test, and then I'll get back over here. You're going into your phonation test, and then it's going, and then it's going, and then it's going, and this is dropping down. This is down here.
Lowers and lowers and lowers, yeah.
It's slowly lowering as you go. Sometimes you notice it, like a big drop you're noticing, the smaller
Yeah.
continuous drop you're not noticing. So your main focus is just going to be practice. If you're ever unsure if your larynx is still high, redrill. And just like incessantly redrill. It'll be annoying, but it'll help you.
And I know I can probably go higher, but I haven't. Whenever I do it, I end up feeling, I don't know if it's like brainworms coming in and making me doubt it, but I always end up feeling weird when I do it. Oop, dropped real bad right there.
When we say feeling weird, are we talking like brain feeling weird rather than like physical feeling weird?
Yeah, brain feeling
Yeah,
weird.
yeah.
Not physical.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
So I
yeah,
haven't pushed it much just because of that.
My guess
Because to me
is
it sounds
brainworms.
weird.
Would you be willing for me and everyone else to hear it, or is that a bit too much right now?
I can do that.
Yeah. Keep
Let me
in
grab
mind
a
we are
drink.
live on YouTube when you're making that decision.
Yeah.
So just so you have informed consent.
I am fine with that because it's learning things.
Yeah, 100%.
And it'll help
100%.
people.
And it will help everybody else as well.
So,
Whenever you're ready.
and this is where I usually stop, but I can
Okay.
go a little higher, and it
So-
always sounds. Oh, you go.
Yeah, what happened there is you had your lovely phonation test, and then it immediately dropped as you started talking.
Dropped.
Yeah, immediately dropped. I think you're on the cusp of something there. I think, and up to you with goals and up to you with brain stuff. But I think if you can play with that area where you've got that further raised larynx, I think you might find results for your liking. Do you fancy giving it another go?
I can do that.
Yeah. So get that raised larynx as high as it can go. Go for the phonation test and try your best to keep it there as you go through the talking. If you hear it drop, redrill. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh no, that was way too high pitched.
That was.
I went in the fault
It was
in
good
two.
though.
Was it?
Yeah, you can drop a pitch a bit if you want to, but it was good.
Ha. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So
Okay.
something like that.
That was very good. That was a huge improvement. I want you, as part of your homework, to find this bit of the VOD, rewatch it, and give that a listen to, because that was pretty good. Do you think you can
Whenever
do it again? Oh, go on, sorry.
So, let me just like put it into words to work through it. So whenever I do that, as high as I can, I always feel like I can't decouple my brain from the set of feeling, even when I lower my pitch, and I think that's brainworms.
Yeah. In terms of what I'm hearing, like the sounds good. It
Okay.
sounds feminizing. I think brainworms. I think I agree. I think brainworms are brainworming you.
Here, I'll try it one more time.
What I want you to do for this one, just to pause really quick, because I want you to get maximal benefit from this.
Yeah.
Once you do your drill and once you get into it, I want you to tell me about your favorite hobby.
Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready.
One sec. Let me get a drink. Oop. So, I've been getting a lot more into tabletop games lately. Again,
Hi.
it comes in waves. So I've been getting a lot more into tabletop games lately. I've been reading a bunch of Mage the Awakening.
Hyatt, you've dropped again. This is good.
It really is just consistency.
It's just a consistency thing. But okay, I very much want you to re-listen to what you produced there, because
Yeah.
for the start of that sentence, like, I don't know what your goals are specifically, but damn, that's probably close to them. That was really.
I'll have
good.
to listen to that.
Yeah, definitely do. It was.
All right.
I was like, whoa, blown away.
My biggest issue has been vocal dysphoria, so it's probably just brainworms.
Brainworms are going to be a thing. I think it's going to be a mixture
Yeah.
of brainworms are going to be a thing, and practice. Practice keeping it at the level you're going for. I don't have a solution to brainworms. I would say you can think of it more as not a feminine voice. You can think of it as a higher larynx voice or whatever. And that obviously means nothing, and that's the point.
Yeah.
Whatever helps, but yeah, ultimately brainworms do be braining in the worm.
Yeah, they
And
do.
that's annoying. I don't have a super great
All right.
solution for that.
No, that'll just take consistent,
Yeah.
more practice. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're super welcome. Also, for practice regime, I would super recommend you doing like at least 3 times a day, doing those drills that we just did. You can talk about whatever it is, whether it's your favorite hobby or whether it's just talking about your day or whatever. If you can do that 3 times a day, that's going to be really good practice for you. If you can go up to 5 times a day, that's going to be even better practice. It can be for 1 or 2 minutes, and that counts as a practice, but keep it like as often as you can fit into a day. Even if it's a really short practice, like a minute is totally fine. That's a good practice. Yeah. You got a lot of free time due to work alone? Yeah, perfect. Just make sure you're not doing like one hour practice a day. That is just one practice, and that sucks. I want number of practices, not length of time practicing. That's just a super important thing to keep in mind. Okie dokie, who can I help next? Who would like some feedback? Oh, you also need a new inhaler? That's fair enough. You're still rehydrating, that's fine. That's fine. Anyone else want some help with anything? Oh, yes. Okay, Lake. So my advice for you, so you were saying you can't train unless you're home alone. My advice for you, it's what I spoke about earlier, is if you need to be training around people and you don't want to tell them about like fem stuff being a thing at the moment, make some shit up, is basically my advice. So you're learning to sing, or you're learning a voice for a D&D character, or whatever tabletop. You're learning a voice for a part that you're playing in the school play, or whatever it is. Or you're learning a voice for some voice acting thing, whatever. You make up whatever you want. Learning to sing is probably like the most accessible one. Might help to learn a little bit how to sing just in case you get called out on it. But just, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. And if you play D&D, yes. It's a voice for a D&D character. Yeah, that's a great advice. That's a great like thing to go for, because most other people are going to be like, ugh, D&D. Sure, whatever, nerd. And they're not going to take it too seriously. So, yeah, use that. You can also practice into a pillow just to muffle the sound. Practice while you're out on walks. Just go for a walk and practice. Walking, like if you say to your parents or whoever that you're trying to like go for walks daily, like they're probably going to be encouraging that. That's exercise. They want you doing exercise. So walks is good. And then you're doing exercise, which is good. So yeah, try something like that. I'm sure you'll find a way. You're not sure if your mum would let you go on a walk alone. Okay, I don't know how old you are. Maybe. I don't know. You're 16 and you can't go for walks on your own. That's crazy. But like whatever it needs to be, you know? Doing a voice for D&D is a pretty good one, I would say. Don't drive to a shooting range to do it. That is not the way. You won't be able to hear yourself. And yeah, to and from school is going to be a good one. All right, is there anybody else who would like some help? Speak next to go next. Or we might have gotten through everybody. It's crazy.
I mean, I
Yeah, go for
can
it.
use a little bit.
How can I help you?
Yeah. Okay. So like nothing in particular, but like last week I like also spoke up and like asked for a little bit of help, and you basically gave me homework.
Okay, cool. What was my
so,
homework
like,
that I gave you?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I do not remember anything from week to week.
Yeah. So like, okay. So like last week, I was like, talking about, oh, like when I like am recording stuff and like, like I'm gonna record stuff over and over again until I get a take that I like, right? And like I was like, okay, so like getting from like however I'm speaking normally to like what I like to hear back in my clips is like a process. And like I guess like asking for help in like how can I like make that smoother, or like how can I just have
Yeah,
that end
yeah, yeah,
result
yeah.
be my
You're
default.
having to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
re-find your voice each time and it's just taking a while.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and like I guess like I guess I just wanted to like give you an update on that because like it's like what I found is like, oh, I just need to like practice more, like listen back to myself more, because like one of the elements that I found that was different from how I usually speak, and like the stuff that I like hearing back over the recording is like OPC. It's like, oh, like if I just add more OPC to my voice, then I kind of like it more
Okay.
when I hear it back, right? Like so yeah, but like the thing that you told me to do was like what was it? Like when I hear the thing that I like, then just like hold on to that, like like death grip it, and just like switch back and forth between like how I usually talk and that, and like try to puzzle out the difference, right? Like I guess like I think that was the intent, right? Like switching back and forth to hear like, okay, so what's different,
Well, it was
right?
partly that. It was
And
partly just for you to
yeah.
get good at doing that. So that you don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
spend as long finding your voice. You're good at just switching into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess like one of those things that I found was like OPC. The other thing is probably like I have like inconsistent control over my quotient, right? So yeah. I don't know, it's just like an update thing.
Yeah. So it sounds like for you, the best thing's going to be practice then. It sounds like you've got an idea
Yeah,
of that as well.
literally just do more.
Grind it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I've said to all the other people, it's going to be a matter of regular short practices. 3, 4, 5 times a day for a few minutes. And that's going to do wonders for you. And try to practice the individual elements as well. Spend some time practicing OPC, spend some time practicing larynx height, spend some time practicing quotient. And eventually, it's all going to start coming together. Good shit. I love it. Okie dokie. Boo 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 boo. I saw something caught me. I can't remember what it was. Boo 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 boo. You want to chat too, but you're pretty happy with your voice. Only thing you'd like is to sing a bit better. I don't really do singing stuff, I'm afraid. You're probably a better singer than I am. I suck at singing. But if you head over to Singuistics, Crammed Voice Lessons, Charles he's called, he does a bunch of singing stuff. They have a karaoke every week where he'll give you feedback on your singing. So I super recommend that. And I also recommend Friday. I know it's 2 p.m. ET. I don't even know what that means, but I know that's what it says on his poster. He also has, I think it's like 11 p.m. UTC. Yeah, he has a just like a Q&A thing, which is also super useful. So very much recommend heading to those. You'll get a bunch of help there. Okie dokie. Would anybody else like some help with anything? Yeah, my server is 18 plus. The one you're in right now isn't though. Transvoice isn't. Hence you can have a minor role. I believe Singuistics is 18 plus as well. All right, well, if there is nobody else wanting any help, then we might cut the live stream here. So, thank you everybody over at YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I love that you come to these. If you're watching the VOD right now, then one, thank you so much for watching the VOD. That's really crazy and huge, and thank you. We're freaking getting those algorithm things happening. Freaking, if you have any questions, comment below. Engagement for the algorithm, if nothing else, is obviously going to be helpful. If you really want to go hard on engagement, freaking like say a message or comment that has all the viral words like Mr. Beast and all that nonsense, because we want to help more people with their voice lessons, and help people with their voices. You can head over to Discord if you want like my regular help. I'm constantly helping people over at Discord. I also do free like one-on-one lessons. They're currently fully booked, but I'm going to be opening public like lessons that will be free. Like people will be able to like shadow your lesson and stuff. And then private ones will be charged for down the road. What else we got? We have the Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/transnetwork. All of the funds for Transnetwork so far have come from there. It's super, super useful. We literally have hired a private coach from the money from there. A private makeup professional from that stuff. So Beans in our server is our makeup specialist, and they are there in the server now because people are supporting the Ko-fi. They do workshops on makeup like once a month, at the end of every month. So make sure you head over there. It's really, really helpful. Also, tomorrow I'm going to be hosting an event in Singuistics. It's going to be Trans Voice Lounge. We're going to be focusing on Quotient that day. And yeah, 2 p.m. UTC tomorrow. Head over there for some help with Quotient stuff. It's a really good way to practice. It's probably the best way to practice. Head over there. Make sure you're on time, that one you do need to be on time for. Or come a little bit early so we can help you with your mic stuff. And yeah, we can all practice Quotient together, and you can get live feedback from me and from any of the other, if any other coaches happen to turn up, then they can give you feedback too. So yeah, okay. Thank you so much, YouTube, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much. All right, everybody say bye to YouTube. Bye. Love you. Boop.
That's core by YouTube.